what it is you really do.
Oh man, that was the jam in high school. That was the jam in high school, I tell you. No, stop. What it do, y'all? What it do, y'all? I'm the host with the motherfucking most chill motherfucking Murray. You're now tuning live from the spot. Shout out to everybody tuning in, not tuning in, y'all doing how we ride. What's going on, y'all? Fear be the homie Medusa. I'm in. What's going on? What's going on with y'all? I so special. I'm so special, so special, so special. That was my shit right there. I had to wake it up. I was going to do a tribute, but I said, you know what? I don't like doing death tributes. I'll do a birthday tribute for Mike. I was going to play Mike, but I was like, nah, I'm too hype right now. A little too hype. All right. It's not going to be a long pod tonight. Just to be honest with you, because we ain't really got much. Joy to the world. What's going on? And I'm dead tired from my travels. So, good evening. Happy Wednesday? It's Wednesday? Yeah, it's Wednesday. I forgot my goddamn days. Joy to the world. What's going on? I forgot my days now. All right. So, as you see the cover, I did take a look at a doc from the Conspiracy Files that I want to take a look at tonight with y'all, and then we'll get into what happened today in court with Diddy. I know I couldn't tell if it was fake news or not. That's the thing. We don't know if this is fake news or not right now. As far as if those charges were dropped, so we're gonna get into that as well. Like I said, I'm gonna make it a short night tonight because I promised someone something, so I am going to be getting off early. I haven't seen the documentary yet. All right. Well, it's not the Netflix one. This isn't the Netflix one. This one is more along the lines of what we do and what we look at. So, shout out to the Conspiracy Files for putting this one together, because only they could have done this one like this, other than Truth Is. But yeah, we're going to start it off with that. Straight out the Gazette. Yeah, like I said, we're going to get into some Diddy updates.
We're gonna die.
Do a little temperature check though, in the place to be. As I'm saying, it's only 7 up in here. Yes. Definitely hit that like button. If you would like to, please do donate to the Cash App. It's right there on the left hand side of your screen. Chill Murray 1 on the Cash App. As we said before, I do not get the super chats. I do not get any of that. Reason why I don't get the super chats, and Fabi explained it before, I don't get the super chats like that because YouTube likes to take percentages of shit, and they like theirs up front. So I get $2 out of that $10. Pretty much. I get like maybe $1 and change. I think it's like 180. I see out of the super chat. They don't give me shit. I looked at today and looked at my revenue. That shit said it went up $1 and change. I was like, oh well. I guess I didn't get that. I didn't get that super chat at all. But yeah, shout out to everybody that does contribute and donate. No, Netflix did not do this justice at all. A couple of outlets did not do this. TMZ did not do this justice at all. But the Conspiracy Files, they got us because it was way more involved than people, than meets the eye. I'll just say it like that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that as well. But definitely, thank you for putting that in the chat as well, Miss Medusa. Thank you so much. Like I said, Conspiracy Files, they're holding us down with as far as like the ritual part of it, because I don't think a lot of people paid attention to the fact that Astro World, the incident that happened was more so a ritual, a sacrifice ritual, than it was anything else. I don't think anybody paid attention to that part. And of course, only third eyes knew that that was a ritual that happened at sacrificing. So we're going to be taking a look into that from the conspiracy files. I'm going to pray YouTube doesn't fuck me over. And if they do, this is why we have everybody in the Discord, damn it. Because we now have more people coming to Twitch with us. So let me also do this. This part is very important. This part is extremely important. Because if we ever so stop, if the button ever gets pushed on us, just join our Discord, Join the Discord and you will never miss another live again. You'll never miss another live again if you just joined up the Discord, y'all. Wait, I was gonna say don't say that yet, Freebie. No, I'm not doing that tonight. I'm not doing spin the wheel tonight. That's gonna be we're gonna do that. We're gonna save that one for the next one. I'm gonna say that one for Friday. I had thought about it as I was saying it. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna say that for Friday because I want more people to be up in here. So, and I know my Friday audience is usually lit. So I'm gonna do that on Friday. But thank you for putting that in the chat too. That is going down Friday. What Free B? Oh, well, it's gone now. But yes, we're gonna be doing a spin the wheel Friday. We're gonna do a spin the wheel Friday, and it's gonna be the top 3 chatters, pretty much. The top 3 chatters will get to pick the topics. So like how we got right now with the 1, the 2, the 3, the purple crowns right there. That's pretty much going to be the top chatters. I want people to know what's going on and how the rules actually work and how this chat works. Also too, I thought about it. I was like, I don't think anybody really knows how the 1, 2, and the 3 thing goes. So that was another reason why I said the mods do not count. So right now, the only person that is counting right now is Joy to the World. The only person that counts right now that would have even had a topic right now is Joy to the World. But yeah, we will definitely be doing that Friday. We'll do the top 3 chatters that I see. Yeah, so Amen and Joy to the World would be candidates right now from what I'm seeing because they have tags next to their name. But yes, let's get into this Astro World doc from Conspiracy Files. Like I said, they got us with the third eye. The third eye view of this thing. Because even if the title says, was this a concert or a ritual? I said, oh, they know what they're talking about. They know what they're talking about already. All right, so let me just hit that button.
Yeah, this is about to be bad. When it starts...
Hold on. Because you got to hear what the girl said in the beginning.
We're going to die.
From jump.
We're going to die.
Well, I wouldn't be smiling saying that in a mosh pit. Yeah, saying this is a joke, but on the inside, this was a real feeling. Yeah, pretty much, because everybody's just moving around in the crowd. Like, how are you in a crowd like that? Like, look how packed that looks. See ya on the other side. Yeah, this is why this shit had to get shut down. Like him, The Weeknd, Beyonce. I don't know if people know this, but a lot of these artists, the Taylor Swift, the Billie Eilish's, they do rituals on the stage right in front of people. Oh no, I will never tell what my live is actually about in the title. No, never that. Because I want you to always be not only surprised, because I appreciate the element of surprise, but it's more so because I want it to be a circumference of the topics in general. So like So Special, right? Travis Scott, in hindsight, thought he was so special, and after this, his career pretty much has never been the same. Even with the Utopia album, he thought he was so special that his career would never get to the diminishing level that it has gotten to recently. Okay, Diddy, same thing. Thought he was so goddamn special today in court, and then the Fed said, "Ha, got him." I was like, "Oh, yeah, you thought your charges would drop." No, they were never dropped. Can tomorrow keep the Discord open so us mods can comment there and keep the YouTube chat open for the community? What do you mean? Discord is always open. The Discord is always open. The Discord don't close. The Discord don't got no closing times. The Discord ain't got no closing times. Discord ain't got no closing times. That's 24/7. That's a 24/7 deli. You can always walk up in there. That's a 7-Eleven. You can always walk up in there. You can always walk up in there and do what you need to. I'm glad the homie Chum Calm Down started helping me with the Marvel Rivals content, because I was getting nervous thinking I was going to be the only one sharing content in there from Marvel Rivals. But my boy Chum Calm Down didn't help me out with that. I mean, read it during the show? What do you mean? Keep the Discord open so us mods can comment there and keep the YouTube chat open to me. What do you mean? I'm confused now. I'm so confused now. I mean, read it during the show. I'm so confused. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the ladies be in there. The ladies be doing their own thing. And that's the thing. I don't even peek in there no more. Now that I know this has just been active, I don't even peek in the ladies' locker room anymore. I just stay my ass out of there. I treat it like the ladies' bathroom. I just stay out of there. I just stay out of there. I mean, like I said, I won't be on tomorrow night. I will not be on tomorrow night. Tomorrow I am doing my own thing tomorrow night. And then Friday I'll be back. Like I said, Discord is always open. Discord, like I said, 7-Eleven, Walmart. Do whatever you need to do. 3 p.m., 3 in the morning. You do what you need to do in Discord. But like I said, tomorrow I will not be on. Tomorrow I am taking a break. Tomorrow I am taking a break because I need to do something else. I have something else very important that I have lined up that I need to do. So I will not be on tomorrow whatsoever. Tomorrow is dedicated to someone. It will stay dedicated to that person. Like a live chat channel on Discord. So you can track who's first, second, third more easily Friday. No, that's the thing. Because Friday is, well, it is. Friday is not going to be just that. Friday is going to be a couple other topics. But that last section of the pod Friday night, like, I want to say, like, last like hour and a half, 2 hours is going to be dedicated to the top 3 chatters. There's going to be the top 3 chatters of that evening, not the top chatters of the week. It's the top chatters of that evening. That's what I'm gonna start doing. It's going to be the top chatters of that very evening. No, that's not what I said, Medusa. That's not what I said, Medusa. That's not what I said. That's not it. That's not it at all. That's not it at all. But there is definitely dedication tomorrow. So, but anyway, anywho. I definitely do. But anywho. See you on the other side. Oh, dear Lord. Oh, dear Lord. I didn't mean to laugh, but oh, dear Lord. What did I just witness? Bro, she is on a stretcher. Bro, she's on a stretcher getting pulled over the gate. She's getting pulled over the gate and just landed on her head. Like, there was zero precaution in bringing her over the thing. They could have. Did she die? Look at this. What the fuck? Did y'all not hear that thud? Her neck broke. Bro, her neck broke. bro, what the fuck?
You could see people just dropping like flies,
And their limp bodies had to be dragged out of the crowd. But things really escalated as Travis Scott took the stage.
And it was just like a concert from hell.
Yeah, chat, this is why I keep telling y'all. This is why sometimes I stay my ass in the house and play video games. It be shit like this that I be getting drunk to. What the hell? What the helly? Because this clip literally speaks for itself. Look at how chaotic it was. This is beyond chaotic. She caught the Tommy Dreamer. Word. Pile dropped her ass. I don't even know what her head fell on. Like, my God. What was that? Like I said, I don't mean to laugh in case she died, but shit. Like, what? There was zero precaution there. Word, they didn't strap her to the board. Nothing. Like, what was that? I'm like, they just drug her ass over on a board over the gate. I'm like, wait. Yeah, this is why, like I said, sometimes it's fun to just stay in the house. Right, they got concerts on Fortnite that I can listen. I've enjoyed many YouTube concerts. Okay, I've enjoyed many. Right, I've attended many concerts via YouTube, and I will continue to if I need to, if they're like this. But no, I would love to go to a concert one day. I would definitely love to go to a festival. You know what I'm saying? I'll go to an R&B festival nowadays. I'll go to a jazz festival nowadays. I ain't going to this shit. You will not catch me at Rolling Loud. All right, I'll be rolling silent before I go to this shit. You will not be catching me at none of these. I will be rolling silent.
As the crowd raged, Aiden prayed.
Pray for him to accept me into heaven, accepting him as my Lord and Savior.
In that moment, a miracle. Aiden says he locked eyes with a friend who dragged him up from a pile of people.
Unable to breathe, piles of people on the ground, some clawing on their clothes as a lifeline, trying to get up so they weren't trampled, pressed so close to strangers that you couldn't lift your arms or turn your head. They were trapped and helpless.
I was literally praying and I was like, please get me out of here. Like, this is not how I want to go, please.
That was the one in the very beginning telling us something. We're going to die here.
Picture yourself standing before the ancient pyramids of Giza.
And that's another thing too, right? People forgot where this actually was. Like, he actually had a concert out in fucking Egypt. That's why that's a very intricate part of why they said this was more of a ritual sacrifice than anything, because of where he actually was. You literally were out there summoning spirits, damn near. Literally were out there summoning spirits. Oh, definitely chum come down. Definitely chum come down. Trust me. I will be there, brother. I will be there. And after tonight, I might even just stay quick play until, because right after I finished talking with you, dog, I had the struggle. Not even the struggle. We had a damn good 2 to 3 match, and I did all I fucking could. I did all I fucking could. Make a long story short, it just tilted me. It just tilted me. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Fuck it. When it's your time, it's your time. But that crowd, I would have been in the back of the crowd. I do that at EDC raves, so I can get out easily. Yo, I want to go to a rave, period. I ain't gonna lie. I do want to go to a rave. I need to go to one of them underground red lit joints. You know what I'm saying? Somebody done slipped me a Molly. I need to go to one of those. Shorty, I will be chilling. I will not be in the in crowd of things. All right, I will be where I need to be, in a corner somewhere near an exit. When I attend events, I make sure I am in the back near an exit. That way, if anything happens, I am able to get the fuck out of Dodge before anything happens. I'm talking about I already didn't hit the before somebody started screaming. I didn't hit I didn't press the door and the exit already. Yes, YouTube is my home. YouTube is my home. The games were bad tonight. I played 3 and hopped off, but next reset. Yes, definitely. Always at the 3, got to reset. Solo, hey, at least you know solo queue is not for me. Solo queue is not for anybody, I think. Solo queue is just difficult this season. Yeah, like I said, I want to go to a rave. I definitely want to go to a rave and get my vibe on there. Didn't Travis go to court over this? Yes, he did get a court when he got sued over this heavily. That's what I said. His career wasn't the same after this. Like internally, his career was never the same.
Against the blood-red sunset, casting long, eerie shadows across the desert sands. These colossal structures, erected over 4,500 years ago, have silently guarded secrets of pharaohs, gods, and perhaps something far more sinister. It was here, amidst this haunting backdrop, that superstar Travis Scott planned a monumental concert to unveil his album Utopia on July 28, 2013. The event promised to blend modern music with ancient mystique, and people across the planet were watching. This was exciting. Something of this scope and scale had never truly been done before. After all was said and done, ticket sales for the concert showed that people were flying in from 54 different countries for this event, and it was almost a guarantee that almost anyone with a social media account in the days following the performance would see clips from the show.
Look at this, bro. The official poster of the show. Look at this. Doesn't it look like a gateway to hell? Does that look like a gateway to hell, literally? I wish I could make out what's actually being... It looks like there's a word on the side of these, like, pillars, almost. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Medusa, you've been in this world. You've been in this world. So you could pretty much identify with one of the things that... Some of the things that's even on this right now. Like this... I don't know what this says right here. Like this looks like some type of what do you call it? This looks like some type of scripture right here, next to the pyramids in Egypt on the right in the middle. That looks like something being said right there, but I can't tell what it is. It's not Travis's name. Yes, it was just symbolism all over the place. Symbolism all over the place. This looks like a gateway to hell. This looks literally like the gateway to hell right here. To where queens and kings are born, it's an honor to do rituals. John Asatasi, what's going on? What's going on? Yeah, this looks crazy. This, like I said, this looks crazy right here.
However, 10 days before the concert, when Travis's team showed up at the site and attempted to gain access, they were denied without explanation. The sun was beating down on them, and they were now working against the clock to get this event set up. On day 9, they tried to gain access to the site once again.
Bro, look at that eerie-ass fog over the fucking thing. That's not AI or nothing like that. That's not special effects. That's an actual fog over those fucking pyramids, bro. That's something like people don't understand the things that they do sometimes or where they place themselves in situations. Like, this in general is like you trying to do everybody seen Dusk Till Dawn here? This is literally like you trying to do a concert in the back of an ancient burial ground. This is literally what he did, is did a concert on an ancient fucking burial ground. You don't know what you literally summoned and woke up underneath them things.
And again, officials told them that
he woke them up all right.
They didn't have permission to be there. And then suddenly, the Utopia release show was abruptly canceled. The album release party had been abandoned, and the scrubbed event was suddenly shrouded in whispers of forbidden rituals and cultural clashes. What dark forces could have silenced this spectacle before it even began? Travis Scott, a visionary known for his electrifying performances and avant-garde stage designs, envisioned the pyramids as the ultimate stage for his Utopia album launch. The concert had sold out in minutes, with fans worldwide clamoring to witness history unfold at one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Yet, like I just mentioned, only a few days before the event, after months of rigorous planning, the Egyptian Musicians Syndicate, a local group from Egypt, pulled the plug, declaring that Scott's performance would violate the cultural identity of the Egyptian people.
Yeah, I was going to say, you see what it says right there. Travis Scott, Egypt axes Travis Scott concert over rapper's strange rituals.
A local group from Egypt pulled the plug, declaring that Scott's performance would violate the cultural identity of the Egyptian people. This sudden decision left fans reeling and ignited a firestorm of speculation across social media platforms.
See, that's the thing, right? It's like what they say. Like the curiosity killed them, in a sense, right? What you don't know won't kill you. That's pretty much what this was right here. The curiosity did kill them because they got so hype and wanted to see it that they actually just didn't give a fuck and they still wanted to be a part of it. They was like, oh, this could possibly happen. That could possibly happen. Yo, we should go. We should definitely go now just to see if something do happen. You went just to see if something does happen. That's crazy right there. That's when went sober so I can get a feel for what was up. I work with okay. Yeah, definitely. So in those situations, you definitely want to be on your P's and Q's too. That's another thing too. So you don't want to do too much at those situations because you definitely want to know what's going on too. You definitely want to be the one to, you got to be not the designated driver in a sense, but you still got to be the level-headed one just in case everybody else isn't. So that's very smart thinking as well too. Never sat down to get into Travis Scott's case. Now I'm paying attention. Yeah, like I said, I never really dug deep into this thing because, like I said, when it happened, I already knew that it was some type of sacrifice ritual, just that people weren't actually saying it out loud like that.
Forms. The official explanation for the cancellation, as given by the group in a written release, stated that the event was canceled due to, quote, complex production issues, a vague term that hinted at logistical hurdles in the desert setting. But beneath this surface-level excuse were darker allegations. The Musicians Syndicate, in their written release, referenced peculiar rituals in Travis Scott's shows, suggesting that these rituals clashed with Egypt's societal values. In fact, one of the leaders of the syndicate, a man named Mustafa Kamel, a lawyer, released a statement after the show's cancellation, which included the following wording: "As the Musicians Syndicate is part of the fabric of our beloved country, it works towards its stability and security and rejects any tampering with the societal values, customs, and traditions of Egypt and the Arab world. After examining social media opinions and feedback, as well as the news circulating on..."
Damn, that looks like hell, bruh. Like, this aerial view is like a crowd or like an AI 3D crowd, but it literally looks like hell, bruh. Like, this looks super dumb. Even the aerial view looks so demonic right here, yo. This looks super demonic right here.
Search engines and social media platforms, which included authenticated images and information about peculiar rituals performed by the star during his performance, contradicting our authentic societal values and traditions. Authenticated images and
It's a statement added based on research and documented information about strange rituals at Travis concerts that are inconsistent with our authentic societal values and traditions. The board of directors has decided to cancel the license issued to hold this type of concert that contradicts the cultural identity of the Egyptian people. So pretty much, as we said in the beginning too, he literally did wake up the spirits. And the spirits were not happy with Travis Scott. That's literally what happened here.
Information about peculiar rituals performed by the star during his performance, contradicting our authentic societal.
Like, imagine you doing a concert that you know is very satanic, and you're doing it on, say, Jesus or God's turf, and they're like, what are you doing? We don't do that around here. Okay. I'll show you.
Values and traditions, the syndicate's president and board of directors have decided to cancel the license issued for hosting this type of concert, which goes against the cultural identity of the Egyptian people. Immediately, social media erupted with claims that Travis Scott's performances harbored satanic or Masonic undertones, fueled by an online campaign that painted him as a figure of occult influence. But where did all these rumors really begin? Well, they can mostly be attributed to the theories and videos.
Did y'all see that? Did y'all catch that?
An online campaign that painted him as a figure.
Did y'all look closely at Travis's face deforming?
Of occult
I can't
influence.
tell if this is promo for it or what, but that looked super demonic if you look at his
Where
face.
did all these rumors really begin?
Did you see that? Not even in this part right here where he looks like he's turning into Satan, but this part right
Harbored
here.
satanic or Masonic undertones, fueled by an
Just watch his face
online campaign that
as he catches himself.
painted him as a figure of occult influence. But where did all these rumors really begin? Well,
Yeah, this clip is AI. I'm talking about right before that. I'm talking about right before it. All right, let me just run it back a little bit. This part right here,
but where did all these rumors
where he catches himself? This part right here.
really begin? Well, they can mostly be attributed
This part I know is AI.
to the theories and videos that emerged in the wake of the 2021 Astroworld tragedy, where a deadly crowd crush
A demon jumped into the crowd.
was spun by conspiracy theorists as a sort of demonic sacrifice. Were these accusations mere paranoia, or did they hold a kernel of truth that alarmed Egyptian authorities?
Like, look at this shit, bruh. Like, even though it is AI, right? Even though it's digital effects and whatnot, why is this your promo for something? I would say more possessed. I would definitely say more possessed because from what I have researched over the years, it seems like they almost attach a demon to these celebrities once they get into the game. It's almost like they attach something to them.
The Astroworld incident cast a long shadow over Travis Scott's career, with TikTok and X platforms awash with videos claiming that his stage designs, like an alleged upside-down cross, opened portals to hell. And I remember this. Posts were popping up all across social media, stating that the Astroworld tragedy was filled with overt Masonic and occult symbolism. An Egyptian
Like, that's his actual
lawyer,
performance.
Amr Abdul Salam, publicly denounced Travis Scott as a, quote, Masonic, satanic devil worshipper, end quote, amplifying the narrative that led to the permit's revocation. But was this backlash rooted in cultural protection?
Black, what's going on?
Or did it stem from fear of unleashing something uncontrollable at a site steeped in esoteric lore? So, what really stopped Travis from performing at the Pyramids of Giza? Was it a straightforward clash of cultures? Or did the authorities sense a deeper, more unsettling threat? Could the pyramids, rumored to channel ancient energies themselves, have been deemed too potent a stage for Travis Scott's provocative artistry? Or was this all a misunderstanding?
That'll look a damn face on top of that pyramid.
Driven by viral misinformation and the human tendency to fear the unknown? Well, to understand, we have to go back to November 5th, 2021 in Houston, Texas. On that day, the air at NRG Park in Houston, Texas crackled with electric anticipation.
Now, ain't no supposedly. Them Kardashians is definitely witches. It is not a secret how many times a guy in general gets intimate with one of them. Say even Chloe, for example, and all of a sudden just nothing but bad just follows them. Literally nothing but bad follows any of these guys that get with these Kardashians. From Lamar Odom to Kanye, I forgot the other Tristan Thompson. I think it's Tristan Thompson. It's just nothing but bad follows them.
As 50,000 fans gathered for the Astroworld Festival, headlined by hometown rapper Travis Scott. The crowd, a vibrant mosaic of young faces, buzzed with excitement, many having waited years to experience Travis Scott's high-energy show. Earlier that day, chaos had foreshadowed the night when hundreds had stormed the festival gates at 2 p.m., trampling each other in a frenzied rush to enter, even if they didn't have tickets. As night fell that night, the stage lights flared, illuminating a towering set designed with a mountain and a giant eyeball, a spectacle that promised an unforgettable show. And despite the cool November breeze, the heat from thousands of packed bodies created a stifling atmosphere.
I heard something about a giant eyeball, so I'm already thinking of the Illuminati when I see the giant eye of Horus.
Thick with the scent of sweat and adrenaline, the crowd swayed and chanted, unaware of the nightmare about to unfold.
We're gonna die.
And what I was talking about earlier was, so I don't know if you guys have seen the episodes where, I know Medusa and Pre, you know what I'm talking about, the episodes where we went over shapeshifters. We literally went over actual shapeshifters that, you know, there was actually another one that I actually showed you guys. She's from a different country. She says she's from an actual alien planet. There's literally a shapeshifter that can, you know, deform her eyes into black. And there's different shapeshifters that we've seen on the news and things like that. So that was one of the reasons why I said that. I'm like, even though that looks like an AI clip, the clip before that looked very similar to the next one, into which there was shapeshifting going on, and he caught it before it actually happened.
This was meant to be a celebration, but it would end in tragedy. At 9:02 p.m., a countdown timer hit 0, and Travis Scott exploded onto the stage, igniting the crowd with a deafening roar of cheers.
Nah, but that looks like hell. Like, why does no one look at these type of visuals and say, yo, this looks demonic?
The pulsating bass of the opening track reverberated through the crowd, vibrating in the chests of every attendee. Travis Scott's voice boomed over the speakers, urging the sea of bodies before him to jump and rage. But as the music thundered, a dangerous shift occurred. From the back, a wave of fans surged forward, desperate to get closer to their idol, compressing those at the front against metal barriers. And within minutes, the excitement turned to discomfort, then panic, as the crowd became an unyielding mass. Survivors like Zachary Scott later recalled, quote, "I couldn't breathe," as the pressure crushed their ribs. The situation quickly spiraled into pure horror as the crowd crush intensified. By 9:07 p.m., the first 911 call reported distress.
We're having some structural issues that could be catastrophic, and we need everybody together.
It's like folks are coming out of the crowd complaining of difficulty breathing, crushing type injuries. Seems like the crowd is compressing, from what I could tell. I was on the Delta side, and I probably saw at least 4 or 5 people pouring out of the crowd, just trying to get away from the crowd. The comps are still going on. The crowd is compressing, is compressing, and you know, the intel we're getting is that the barricade might be compromised or being compromised.
But the relentless music drowned out the screams of those trapped.
There was too many people.
Panic.
And that's when you started to hear people like screaming, and you couldn't tell if it was like you're screaming for Travis or you're screaming for like you need help.
And see, the thing is, right, I remember when this was going around, these TikToks was going around, and you literally started seeing the next like week or two, you literally started seeing certain performers like Billie Eilish and whatnot stopping their shows like, hey, you all right? Hey, you all right? You literally started seeing performers do that shit. It was like, yo, check, make sure they all right. He needed a water bottle or something. They literally were stopping performances just to make sure the crowd was okay because of this bullshit that was going on. People was actually getting fucked up at Travis Scott's concerts. Like what they talking about here with people getting crushed and shit. This shit was really crazy. Yeah, Taylor Swift too. And you gotta also remember too, these are kids, bro. These weren't like 30 and 40-year-old motherfuckers up in the crowd like that. Maybe 1 or 2 of them, but majority of these motherfuckers is like between the ages of 17 and maybe 25.
I see somebody in the tree. Turn the lights on. Turn the lights on. Turn the lights on. Make some noise for my boy right there hanging in the tree right there.
He talking about some make some noise for my boy hanging in the tree. It's people screaming for their lives, niggas, but to die. And bruh is talking about some make some noise for my homeboy in hanging in the tree. And he kept going. So going through my Astroworld videos after watching the documentary is crazy. In my section, I couldn't even tell anything was going on. I just thought remember the old Black Friday mobs? That's pretty much what this was right here. A mass Black Friday mob. Everybody jumping up on each other's backs, trying to jump on shoulders, get up high so you can see and shit. You heard the nigga said it's a nigga hanging from a tree. Now, see, I didn't know that, Black. Someone was walking around hitting people with needles and shit. I ain't know that. That means people was getting injected without knowing. Look at this shit. It's a whole fucking... It's chaos. Everybody just pushing each other. And see, the thing is, that's another reason why they didn't want him to perform there. Because of how these crowds were. Because of how these crowds were. And the crazy thing is, these are like regular concert crowds for Travis Scott, where it's everybody just moving around and moshing and, you know, like it's a rock concert pretty much. It was the whole rap rock thing that was going on, right? Remember that? The whole rap rock scene that started to happen in the, I want to say like the late teens of the 2000s. This shouldn't have happened. I understand we want like a mosh pit so you can crowd surf and shit like that, but Travis, you wouldn't even crowd surfing over no shit like this. So you know what that tells me right there too? People getting poked with needles. There was somebody literally going around poking people with needles so they passed out. People were getting poked with needles so they would pass out, and it would cause even more of it would cause more of people starting to cave in and just collapse because people were just falling over each other. That's crazy right there. Even if he didn't hear him, he could see the crowd caving in, not like a mosh pit. Right. That's what startled me just now. Like, how are you looking in the crowd, seeing that shit look the way it does, and all you could think about is homie hanging in the tree for your support?
You already know who it is. Before we keep going,
there's people literally yelling help. Yes, rest in peace to all the lives lost. Do y'all hear them yelling help? And he doesn't hear shit.
I want to take it back to days before rodeo real quick.
I want to take it back to days of radio real quick. Bro, don't even hear the thousands of people yelling help. They just kept going. As I said, I know the kids are like, yo, fuck that, we moshing. But it's some people back there that are like, yo, I'm getting crushed, literally dying because y'all are just so crowded in here. And then these flames are going up. Like I said, it literally looks like somebody's being taken to hell.
You either had your arms down or up. You weren't just like doing this freely. You definitely weren't moving your arms. You either were here or here. I had 4 to 6 people touching me at all times probably. Felt like I probably had 15 to 20 pounds.
And see, it's shit like that, right? The main thing that bothers me, not the only thing, the main thing that bothers me in crowds like that is that I gotta keep my hands in my pocket because I don't know if niggas is in that shit. My wallet is on me. You know what I'm saying? My wallet on me, my phone on me. I got IDs and shit. It's probably cash on me. Like, I don't need y'all that fucking close to me. I might swing on one of y'all just because y'all too close to me. Like, period. Like, dog, I don't need to be. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's not even being claustrophobic, because I'm good with tight spaces and whatnot. I like space, but I'm already with. You know what I'm saying, I'm a minimalist too. So that shit would bother me with people just being all up on me like that, and I gotta keep my hands in my pockets. I don't trust y'all niggas. I don't trust nobody around me to not have my hands in my pockets. The Netflix doc said it was the left side where it happened. The right side wasn't bad. Then they said it only had like 50 security guards there. It had zero control of the crowd. Yeah, you can definitely tell that there was not enough on staff to even keep that shit contained. That's the bigger part of that. There was not enough security to even keep that shit. Say, hey, y'all calm the fuck down. It wasn't enough of that going on. It was just everybody was just balls out, falls out, security like this. They're just looking around and shit, but they can't tell what's going on. There's not enough of them.
My chest and back. Whenever there would be a strong push from the back, when everyone would go forward, I'd fall forward. And then whenever that wave would come back, I would step back and I would be catching the person in front of me.
People gasped for air, their arms pinned, faces turning purple from oxygen deprivation, as described by survivor Julius La Culpa. Another survivor, Kaya Reedus, begged for help while being trampled, covered in vomit from others. Her life saved only by a stranger's intervention. Desperate fans
covered in vomit. You're not even covered in your own vomit. You covered in other motherfuckers' vomit. That's just disgusting.
Platforms waving frantically to stop the show, but their pleas for help were ignored.
Now we're in there, bro. Shut the fuck up. Exactly right. We're in there. People are fucking dying. I'm gonna save somebody's life. That's somebody's kid.
That's a real nigga right there. Bruh said, nah, fuck y'all. People are dying in there. I want to go save somebody's life, and y'all just ranting and raving. Look at that. They trying to tell staff that people are dying. That is ridiculous. She is yelling at the camera guy like, yo, tell Travis there are people dying in the crowd right now. Look at that. They trying to tell them like, yo, get this shit, stop this shit. There's people dying right now. Look at that. He's like, yo, Bob. Look at that. They trying to tell them stop the show. Stop the damn show. Look at that. She didn't stay up there to like 2 or 3 songs. Talking about some, yo, stop the show, and he's still going. This just makes it look even worse. You can hear the crowd screaming for help on the Apple Music live stream. And look at the portal. Look at the portal. I can't say that's visual effects. Look at this is a fucking portal. That is a portal, bruh. Stella Blue, what's going on? But that's the thing. He did hear it, but he's completing the ritual. I said, this is a portal opening up right here, bruh. Like, I'm pretty sure even right here where he's not singing or rapping or nothing, he's just got in-ear monitors on right now.
Some people collapsed, their bodies then trampled underfoot by the obvious throng, while unconscious victims were crowd-surfed over heads in a futile bid for safety. But even though all of this was happening, people were being crushed and killed, the thunderous music continued, its pounding beats a cruel counterpoint to the chaos below.
Hey, I'm over at the medical tent, and there's a lot of people trampled.
Look at that. Someone called 911 in the middle of the concert this nigga didn't know. Like, how oblivious can you be, bruh?
And they're passed out at the front stage.
Yeah, this was in the beginning of the shit. This is just wild. Like Angie pointed out earlier, she's not even strapped down to the damn board. She wasn't even strapped to the board, and they were just bringing her over the fucking railing, bro. And just dropped her. I don't know if that was blood that just splattered over from her back of her head or what. Like, what am I looking at? Like, she is lifeless. Bro, I wouldn't have stayed. Just seeing that happen to somebody, I would have left to the parking lot. That's what I'm saying. That was blood that came out that young lady's head just now, from what I seen.
Go in there. This could possibly turn into an officer rescue situation.
Like, it looked like it splattered right out the back of her head.
That makes it extremely dangerous for everybody. So right now, if you can get in on the perimeter, get to them. If not, try your best to go commands into that crowd to help out. Other than that, be careful.
I was like, man, this is not safe. Like, I started to notice. I look in front of me, I see people.
Look how he's stuck in the crowd.
Crying. I look in the side of. I see my friends. They're yelling for help. They're saying, "We got to get out."
She can't breathe. She can't breathe.
Oh, I moved it up. I didn't mean to move it up. I meant to move it back a little bit.
First music continued, its pounding beats a cruel counterpoint to the chaos below.
See, that was what I was trying to hear too. The low frequency of the music y'all was talking about too.
Oh.
Hey,
Juju, what's going on? Allison Clamp, what's going on?
We at the medical tent, and there's a lot of people trampled, and they're passed out at the front stage.
Yeah, this is what I wanted to see again. Because that looked like that was blood that came out her head. See, I'm looking at it before she lands and after. Yeah, blood came out the back of her head, bruh. Blood came out the back of her head. The low frequency calls the spirits from the underworld, and they are upset. They're mad.
HBCP team interrogated reports. Right now, that crowd is super thick, super dense. If you go in there, this could possibly turn into an officer rescue situation, and that makes it extremely dangerous for everybody. So right now, if you can get in on the perimeter, get to them. If not, try your best to go commands into that crowd to help out. Other than that, be careful.
I was like, man, this is.
Look how he's. Look at his face right now. Bruh is stretched, and they are crushing each other right now. He is stretching out for his dear life, trying to show what's happening.
It's not safe. Like, I started to
Look how everybody's just tight right here like that. He feels like he just got crushed. That's why his face just scrunched in like that.
I look in front
like he's trying to breathe.
of me. I see people crying. I look in the side of. I see my friends. They're yelling for help.
He said, I saw bodies flying across the.
They're saying, we got to get out.
She can't breathe. She can't breathe.
People are literally covered. This guy is mushed into another guy's back. There's someone's fist being imprinted into his head. This part right here. This is what y'all was talking about right here too. Travis sings and hums as he watches a lifeless body carried from the crowd. This is why people said this shit was a ritual. That these little hymns right here. Like he's watching this shit, bruh. This is super satanic, bruh. He's watching the body be carried through the crowd, bruh, singing like this.
Kid being carried out. Normally, you see people carried out. They're all nestled in the person, or they got their arms.
Nah, he looks dead, bruh. That guy looks dead. Literally dead.
Legs, and they're taking them out. I've never seen anybody carried out the way that this kid got carried out. And it looked like Travis is trying to process it and try to figure out what to do next.
What more do you need to stop it, Travis?
It felt like a horror movie.
Travis, really, bruh? Your entire crowd is yelling that you stopped the show and you still going, bruh? Like, I understand. See, here's the thing, right? And as I'm looking at the kid getting carried away, so pretty much we've all seen different concerts and mosh pits that have gotten out of control to the point that someone passed out is being carried away, right? We've seen that plenty of times. And I'm pretty sure Travis has also seen that happen at his shows where someone got passed out. Someone passed out and just got took to the side real quick and probably even came back. There's plenty of concerts where he's done where people passed out and probably came back to the same show. This is one of those moments where he couldn't. That's why the guy said he was just standing there trying to process it. Dog, after the crowd starts chanting "Stop the show," when that happens, you need to stop the fucking show, Travis.
You see people going like this. You can hear the screams. You don't see this?
Look at that. People are little, and he's thinking they're just moshing. Like he said someone was hanging on a tree. He's like, you shot to my homie hanging on a tree. This dude's trying to jump on top of emergency vehicles to get to someone to help them. And he's still moshing up there.
At 10:12 p.m., the performance finally ended, and the stage lights dimmed, revealing a scene of pure devastation and terror.
That looks crazy, bro. And that looks like a good night to him, probably.
Motionless bodies lay scattered across the ground, their faces etched with the agony of their final moments. Medics rushed through the crowd, performing CPR on victims like 9-year-old Ezra Blount, the youngest to die that night. And
9 years old, bruh. There was a 9-year-old out there. I was saying there was kids out there, bruh. But a 9-year-old?
Ambulances, their sirens piercing the night, struggled to navigate the dense crowd to reach those in need. After all was said and done, 10 lives had been lost to compressive asphyxiation, a death likened to being crushed by a car, with hundreds more.
And I didn't even notice that right there, right? The stage. Look at the stage. Look at the cross. Look at the upside down cross that they were talking about. It's an upside down cross where he was walking across that stage leading into a portal, bro. There's an upside down cross going into a portal. Like, it doesn't get any more vivid than that, bro.
Likened to being crushed by a car, with hundreds more injured. That's
the 9-year-old right there, Ezra Blount up top. And see what I say? Majority of them wasn't even 25, bro. The oldest there was a 27-year-old. This is why I said 30s and 40-year-olds wouldn't even been at this shit, bro. 21, 20, 21, 23, 16, 14, 23, 22, a 9-year-old, bro. Like, this shit making me tear up, bro.
Intended as a joyous escape, had become a graveyard of dreams, leaving survivors and their families scarred forever. The tragedy sparked lawsuits and investigations, but no criminal charges were ever filed, leaving many to question how such a nightmare could unfold. Immediately after the end of the event, people on social media began analyzing the footage, and they began to claim that what they had witnessed that evening wasn't a stage show. It was a human sacrifice of demonic proportions. And pretty soon there were hundreds of thousands of people discussing how Travis Scott had murdered 10 people that evening for his occult masters in an attempt to ascend to a higher plane of consciousness. But was there truth to any of this? Did any of these symbols actually mean anything? Or were these just bizarre, baseless accusations? Well, let me tell you, there's definitely more here than meets the eye.
Did I just read that? Did I just read that correctly?
Or were these just...
I did read that correctly. Demon crowd surfing.
An attempt to ascend to a higher...
Disturbing footage coming out from the Astroworld music. Notice some black thing thrown towards the right side of the crowd, and the two dudes jump towards that direction.
And there were hundreds of thousands.
Two demons vanish into the crowd. I keep seeing that. I keep saying demons were in the crowd.
Rituals or ceremonies, practitioners simply need to have a flame present to carry out their work. The flames don't have to be igniting anything or end in a lot of these rituals their connect practitioners who deities, such as Rahur Kuit, evoked through physical fire, to protect and empower.
I feel like I just skipped a whole bunch of shit. I don't know what just happened. Like literally, it feels like I skipped a whole bunch of shit.
Phrase, see you on the other side. Some users online have likened these portal-like visuals seen on stage to be reminiscent of a Stargate, or a gate referenced in some ancient occult beliefs that supposedly connects our world with the astral plane. In imagery associated with Freemasonry, we constantly see references to the stars and can
This is crazy even looking at right here. I forgot the breakdown of this depiction right here, but this is literally also in Kanye West's Power video. No one man should have all that power. This depiction is also in his video.
observe various celestial motifs, and one of the most infamous and
That's all. This is all Masonic stuff too. This is all Masonic symbolism.
mysterious symbols of Freemasonry itself.
What did I say?
Is the arch. The arch is said to represent an arch found underneath the biblical Temple of Solomon, before a vault. I should note here that the Temple of Solomon, in the last few centuries, has become a somewhat infamous location found within biblical texts, and that's thanks to works like the Testament of Solomon, a non-canonical work from the 1st-5th century CE, and the magical work, the Lesser Key of Solomon, works which describe King Solomon as having had power over demons, using a magical ring to control them for tasks like building the temple. The Lesser Key of Solomon is an incredibly compelling book, also known as Lemegeton Clavicula Solomonis, and is a 17th century grimoire, or magical how-to book attributed to King Solomon, which compiles 5 books on demonology and ritual magic. The book details the process of summoning, binding, and controlling 72 different demons, each with specific ranks, powers, and sigils, as well as instructions for creating magical tools and performing rituals. The text, likely a product of European occult traditions rather than Solomon himself, blends Jewish, Christian, and mystical occult elements to guide practitioners in their processes of invoking supernatural entities. So, whenever I see the Temple of Solomon referenced in tandem with Freemasonry, knowing connections in works like these, I always raise an eyebrow. And it begs the question, could the Masonic Arch be some sort of an allusion to a Stargate of sorts? A gate one can pass through, whether physically or metaphorically, that would connect one with the Godhead, whatever that may be. And could the use of this imagery by Travis Scott have been a mere artistic flourish? Or was it a deliberate nod to a darker narrative? The imagery, combined with the festival's chaotic energy, set the stage for a night that would leave an indelible mark on all who witnessed it. Amidst the chaos of the night at Astroworld, large flames licked the nighttime skies, huge, violent-looking spirals of flame, which seemed to reach up from the pits of hell towards the dark Texas sky. Was this imagery meant to evoke visions of hell in the viewer? Well, there could even be darker explanations than that. Aleister Crowley, once known as the wickedest man in the world, is one of the most infamous occultists of all time.
You guys that have been on the channel before know about this guy. If you've been on our channel before, you know about Aleister Crowley. Remember the Beatles documentary we did? And how they got the Sgt. Pepper influence from him. How all of these different if you ever seen like the Sgt. Pepper jacket, pretty much when we went over the Kim Kardashian video, the Santa Baby video, and we saw the demonic stuff in that, right? The sex trafficking things in that. Again, the Sgt. Pepper jacket was even in that video, right? They worship Aleister Crowley, so his influence in different things are all throughout these superstars of music's videos, concerts, and things like that. And of course, as you can see right here, plain as day, Travis Scott was, Ab-Soul has even came out and said it. He's a follower of Aleister Crowley.
Aleister Crowley was an English occultist, writer, and mountaineer who gained notoriety for founding the mystical philosophy of Thelema, centered on the principle.
Now, where do we hear that from? Remember whatchamacallit, right? Diddy, right? If we remember correctly, Diddy. Diddy pretty much is practicing with the freak-offs sex occult magic, representing the Thelema.
Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Born into a wealthy Christian family, Alistair rebelled against his upbringing, studying esoteric traditions and joining groups like the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, before forming his own magical order, the AA. Crowley authored influential works on magic, including the Book of the Law, and his provocative lifestyle, marked by drug use, sexual experimentation, and public scandals, made him a controversial figure dubbed the wickedest man in the world. Alistair was a pioneer in the world of the occult, and the texts that he penned and rituals that he created are still being read and implemented across the world to this very day. And in the belief systems of Crowley, fire itself is an incredibly important element. Also, I want to add in here, I studied the occult in college. I had a professor who was obsessed with Aleister Crowley and chronicling his history, and he pronounced it Crowley. He said that Crowley is the correct pronunciation. I know people are going to be saying, oh, it's Crowley. But let me tell you, from studying this at university, I was told from somebody...
Okay, so it's Crowley. We'll say Crowley.
...who has spent his life researching this man that it is Crowley. But before we get into Crowley, you have to understand alchemy. Alchemy is an ancient occult practice.
Which would also make sense with the word crow being in it. In the spelling of it, anyway.
That blends mysticism, proto-science, and philosophy, primarily aiming to transmute base materials into gold and discover the elixir of life for him.
Where have we seen that image before? That looks like a... So, hell, one of the most popular videos of Busta Rhymes is the Janet Jackson and Busta Rhymes video, What's It Gonna Be? And this is a little depiction of it.
Mortality. Practitioners, active from antiquity through the Renaissance, used symbolic rituals, laboratory experiments, and esoteric knowledge, often encoding their work in cryptic texts and allegories. Beyond material transformation, alchemy also sought spiritual purification, viewing the alchemist's inner enlightenment as parallel to the perfection of matter. Fire itself, in fact, is a universal symbol of transformation in occultism, and Aleister Crowley's teachings emphasize fire's role in alchemical processes. In his writings on magic, such as in the paper Magic in Theory and Practice, Crowley describes fire as a purifying force that burns away impurities, ignorance, ego, or mundane attachments to reveal the purified self. This aligns with the alchemical concept of calcinatio, where fire reduces matter to its essence, a process Crowley applied to spiritual growth. For Crowley's Thelemites, engaging with fire in meditation or ritual, such as visualizing flames or simply claiming to work with fire gods, facilitates the shedding of false identities to align with one's true will. In Crowley's system, fire is also linked to the Sephiroth of Geburah on the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, representing strength, destruction of the obsolete, and the refining power of divine justice. Practitioners might invoke fire to break through spiritual barriers or catalyze radical change, seeing it as both destructive and creative. Crowley's occult system heavily incorporates the four classical elements: fire, water, air, and earth, with fire representing the suit of wands in his Thoth tarot deck, co-created with artist Frida Harris. In the deck, fire and wands symbolize will, creativity, ambition, and spiritual energy. The Ace of Wands, for example, depicts a radiant flame, signifying pure...
See, this is what I was talking about. Remember when I said those pillars on the side look like they were saying something? All of these right here that he's showing right here are symbols of those pillars that was in that Gate to Hell poster. Every last one of these things that he's showing right here was in that.
Creative potential and a divine spark. Practitioners use these cards in divination or meditation to tap into fire's qualities, seeking inspiration or courage to pursue their goals. Crowley's emphasis on fire as the element of action reflects his belief in the magician as an active agent of change, wielding will like a flame to shape reality. And keep in mind here that people online reference Travis Scott himself and his supposed deep state shadow handlers as the magicians. So, for comparison here, whenever we reference a magician and what a magician might do, imagine that it was Travis Scott on that evening, and why he might be using things like these to achieve certain goals. In Aleister Crowley's occult rituals, fire often plays a practical and symbolic role. The lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, adapted by Crowley from the Golden Dawn, invokes the Archangel Michael, associated with fire, to protect and empower the practitioner. Similarly, in the Star Ruby ritual, a Thelemic version of the banishing ritual, fire is invoked through physical gestures and mental visualizations to assert the magician's authority. Crowley also drew on fire deities, such as Rahur Kuit, the warlike aspect of Horus in Thelema, whose fiery energy represents conquest and liberation. Practitioners who follow Crowley, or even the occult in general, might light flames to honor these godlike deities, believing that the fire amplifies their connection to divine forces and the other side. As you can see, the element of fire is deeply tied to occult practices, and in a lot of these rituals or ceremonies, practitioners simply need to have a flame present to carry out their work. The flames don't have to be igniting anything or ending lives, they just have to be there, licking the air, which has led many to question why Astroworld's show contained so many pyrotechnic displays. Could this have symbolized Travis Scott's transformation into something new? Could it have represented his soul being transformed? His ascent into a higher plane of consciousness within the occult? I don't know, but this all continues to get stranger. The image of flames, especially in occult contexts, is closely tied to the phoenix, a symbol that Aleister Crowley openly revered and admired for its association with resurrection, rebirth, and eternal renewal. In Thelema, the phoenix, represented as a menacing fiery bird, represents the cycle of death and rebirth, a process central to achieving the great work, the unification of the self with the divine. Crowley's Book of Thoth describes the phoenix as a fiery emblem of spiritual transformation, which rises from its ashes to embody the triumph of will. And what do you know? At one point during the Astroworld Festival, as unfortunately people were beginning to lose their lives in the
Bruh. Look at the face.
crowd and thousands of people were experiencing intense pain and suffering, a giant phoenix flew up from the stage crowd area and entered the screens above the stage, hovered for a moment overlooking the chaos, and then took off towards the sky. Was this phoenix meant to symbolize Travis Scott's rebirth, his movement into a higher plane?
Look at the red portal with the phoenix over it, though. And this is all a part of the show. This is super demonic here. The crazy thing is it makes me look at X-Men in a whole different way, too, because one of the most popular characters is Jean Grey. Damn, that symbolism of the number 3. Holy shit.
Of occult consciousness? Or was this just a cool symbol that he and his team thought would symbolize his progression as an artist? The posters for the upcoming Astroworld Festival also contained some disturbing occult imagery. For example, in multiple posters advertising the upcoming festival.
Yeah, this right here with the hands, bro. With the Crowley hands. The all-seeing eye inside of the hand. Then the portal. Someone asking you to come into the portal. Oh, this looks crazy right here.
Festival, we can see an esoteric influenced image depicting two hands with eyes, which itself has deep connections to the occult. In occult symbolism, two human hands with eyeballs in the center could be most commonly associated with the Hamsa, a palm-shaped amulet found across Middle Eastern and North African cultures, also known as the Hand of Fatima in Islam or the Hand of Miriam in Judaism. The Hamsa, typically depicted as a single hand, but sometimes stylized as two symmetrical hands, features an eye in the palm to ward off the evil eye, a malevolent glare believed to cause misfortune or harm. This symbol represents protection, power, and blessings, with the eye serving as a talisman to deflect negative energies and the 5 fingers often linked to spiritual concepts like the 5 pillars of Islam, the 5 books of the Torah, or the 5 chakras in Hindu-Buddhist traditions. But in the posters for Astroworld, we can clearly see 2 hands with eyeballs in the palms, and this causes the image to take on a whole different meaning. The image of 2 human hands, each with an eyeball in the palm, is a rare and less standardized motif compared to the single-handed Hamsa. It may represent a dualistic or intensified form of protection, perception, and spiritual power, with the eyes symbolizing heightened awareness or vigilance against negative forces, or possibly drawing from esoteric traditions that emphasize symmetry or mirrored forces, like left and right, masculine and feminine,
or possession,
and so on. Some interpretations in modern occultism, particularly in Western esoteric or chaos magic circles, could link this to the concept of seeing hands, where the hands act as tools of creation and manipulation, guided by divine or supernatural insight, though it should be noted that no canonical source defines this symbol. In fact, in certain esoteric and occult traditions, particularly those rooted in Western demonology and satanic lore, the striking imagery of eyes on palms can even evoke Abaddon, known as the Abyss Angel or Destroyer, a demonic figure often associated with the first level of hell, or the bottomless pit of Revelation 9:11 in the Bible, where he is depicted as the king of a plague of locusts. The eyes and palms motif, while not directly linked to Abaddon in canonical texts, resonates with his role as a watcher and enforcer of divine or infernal judgment, symbolizing unrelenting surveillance. He's always watching, and the power to perceive hidden truths or sins, much like the unsettling omniscience attributed to demonic entities in grimoires like the Lesser Key of Solomon. In some modern occult interpretations, this imagery of the eyeballs in the palms aligns with Abaddon's dominion over chaos and destruction, where the hands represent agency or manipulation of the material world, and the eyes signify his ability to gaze into the abyss, binding the spiritual and physical realms. But others have made even more disturbing connections here. Some online believe that the hands with eyeballs in the palms reference a well-known character known as the Pale Man from Pan's Labyrinth, a character allegedly associated with greed and child sacrifice. In the film, the Pale Man is a terrifying creature encountered by the protagonist, Ophelia.
I've seen this scene before, but I never watched the whole movie.
In one of her fantastical tasks, the Pale Man, with eyes in the palms of his hands, sits at a lavish banquet table surrounded by forbidden food, which Ophelia is warned not to touch. While the film doesn't explicitly state that the Pale Man wants to sacrifice children, his chamber contains disturbing imagery, including piles of children's shoes and frescoes depicting him devouring or attacking children.
Was this from the Hansel and Gretel movie? I can't remember what the fuck it was from. I remember watching this though.
Strongly implying that he preys on and consumes them. When Ophelia eats from the table, the Pale Man awakens and pursues her, suggesting that he intends to harm, kill, or eat her, aligning with folklore motifs of child-eating monsters. One author of an online post even notes regarding the eyes and hands symbolism, quote, "Now, let's remove the amount of hands for the reference and say maybe it was just an eye and a hand."
Yeah, absolutely right. Our Real Monsters had a character look just like this. The old cartoon had the Pale Man.
And, well, guess what? That's even worse. The all-seeing eye is already an occult symbolism, but inside of a hand is symbolism that is incredibly eerie, end quote. This is all linked to alchemical apotheosis, where, through some sort of formula and ritual, man ascends into godhood, described as a very grim symbol in the occult, highlighting its unsettling nature. So, fire, transformation, a blazing phoenix representing rebirth, leveling up in the afterlife, alleged references to child killers in the artwork, magical alchemy, all-seeing eyes, stargates and portals. This entire event was like an occult buffet for the eyes. But that wasn't all that was noticed. Perhaps one of the most disturbing elements of this show was the image seen on Travis Scott's shirt that he wore that evening during the performance. On the shirt, astute viewers can see quite clearly and without question artwork depicting people entering a door and emerging as what looked to be demons. In the art, these humans are being transformed after they pass through this gate into beings with horns, common symbolism that relates to the demonic.
Pretty much saying that he was, and for him to be wearing it throughout the performance, pretty much detailing and saying that, yo, I am converting all of you.
This shirt normally wouldn't raise any eyebrows, but after attempting to decode this event and realizing the devastation that occurred there that night, it takes on a darker, deeper meaning. As you can see, so many of these symbols seem to symbolize rebirth and change, transmutation, and in some ways, magical alchemy. There's the phoenix rising from the ashes that flies above Travis Scott's head. There's the shirt.
Cherie Pennell, what's going on? West, y'all. Yes, y'all. I was trying to read that too. Like the Yummy video with Justin Bieber when his food turns rotten, once the rich old people violated him. Yes, very similar to that. Very similar to that as well.
He's wearing, which shows literally people transforming after passing through a portal into demons. There's the portal on stage, the upside down cross, the heavy presence of fire. It's so strange. But for a moment, we have to examine the musical projects that Travis Scott was planning on releasing shortly after the Astro World Festival. Specifically, his works titled Dystopia and Utopia. One author of a post on
yes, good catch. The character Crumb from Our Monsters
line about this subject wrote, quote, Travis Scott's new projects are respectfully named Dystopia and Utopia, and he has been constantly referencing this. There must first be dystopia before utopia narrative as an artistic expression, but it could be more grim, end quote. And it's very interesting. Here, we see yet another reference to a sort of motif where one must be transformed through some sort of a process, seemingly in this case through some sort of devastation, dystopia, into a higher being with a higher state of consciousness in a godly utopia. There were also some specific quotes posted on Travis Scott's social media accounts before the Astro World Festival, which read, "When the end arrives, it's really the beginning. Who knows what lies beneath the surface? And the true dystopia is..."
Bro was literally saying as above, so is below.
"Here," which were posted just a day before the event, which suggests a narrative where dystopia might precede utopia through a sacrifice to achieve a goal or status. One commenter online concludes after analyzing these bizarre connections, quote, "That is all just very weird imagery Travis Scott used for this series of projects and events. Incredibly eerie stuff, man," end quote, leaving the interpretation open-ended. There was also the entrance to the Astro World Festival itself, which caused controversy in the wake of what happened.
Like, it's never just weird imagery. And I wish more people would wake up and notice that. It's never just weird imagery, just random. You think these fucking celebrities literally sit down and say, let's make it look like this, that, and the third? Or they just go through different random little medias and say, oh, I want to pick that, I want to pick that, I want to pick that. No, these shits are literally set up for these artists to do this ahead of time, way ahead of time before they even had the knowledge of it.
The entrance, a giant sculpture of Travis Scott's head, was likened by some to Hieronymus Bosch's Christ in Limbo, a painting which graphically depicts the mouth of hell. And clearly, when looking at the two side by side, you can see the resemblance.
Pretty much people just entering hell. Almost. Yo, that is fucking sick right there. That is some 6th edition shit. Yeah, all the models are in here, except for Blue Muse. We're missing Blue Muse and New Eyes.
It looks like Travis Scott himself is swallowing people alive and welcoming them into the inferno. People also pointed out the slogan, "See you on the other side," which was plastered across the screen on the festival that evening, and stated, obviously, that it took on a sinister tone in hindsight, as the saying seems to suggest a passage of the reader from this world to a darker realm. Were these interpretations the product of overactive imaginations, or did some people stumble upon a hidden truth about the event's true purpose? Beyond the primary symbols, additional elements amplified the festival's eerie aura. The stage's fiery mountain, described as a portal to hell, featured a spiral that some believe represented a gateway to another dimension. Giant hands appeared over this portal towards the end of the show, suggesting that the crowd, or Travis Scott himself, were being controlled by unseen forces. Creepy eyeballs filled the mountain at a moment when lives were being lost, a coincidence that conspiracy theorists find too precise to ignore, especially given the symbolism of eyeballs in the occult. And the date of the festival, November 5th, 2021, adds another layer to this dark mystery. Following within the week of Samhain, a time revered in occult traditions when the veil between the living and the dead is thinnest, the timing has fueled speculation of ritualistic intent. Samhain is associated with sacrifices and spiritual transitions, once again, making the festival's imagery and tragedy all the more provocative. While official investigations point to logistical failures, the alignment of the event with this occult period definitely raises questions that linger in the minds of those who see more than meets the eye. Was Astroworld 2021 a tragic incident, or a carefully orchestrated event cloaked with the guise of a music festival? Something else that I'll note here that I've seen circulating across social media are clips and videos that people claim show shadow figures or demonic entities flying around the stage, jumping throughout the crowd, and appearing to even enter at some points Travis Scott's body.
Does anybody remember the Travis Scott concert where all those people died?
Holy shit!
Same entity.
Holy shit! Holy shit! You can literally see it moving in there. The Ancestor Hands in Cabin in the Woods. That's one of my favorite fucking horror movies too, Cabin in the Woods. Like all-time favorite movies too, Cabin in the Woods.
Entities flying around the stage, jumping throughout the crowd, and appearing to even enter at some points Travis Scott's body.
Does anybody remember the Travis Scott
You literally see it moving around in this bitch.
concert where all those people died and this same entity was flying over the crowd? Does nobody else remember that?
Look at that shit. That's not special effects, bro.
I do.
It's not a fly.
And I think it's a spirit of some kind, a dark spirit, maybe? I don't know. This is twice that I've seen that entity in large groups of crowds. And the first time.
And it's just moving around through the crowd, bro. It's a bunch of them. It's like 1, 2, 3. It's like 4 of them.
It didn't go so well.
Now, some of these, I believe, can easily be explained. They appear to be people in the crowd.
Look at this right there. It's literally right here. If you look close to the right-hand side, where that little light is glowing, to the edge of the left of that light is the black figure moving.
Maybe jumping off.
Look at it jumped.
Of platforms into the sea of bodies below, obviously with low light and how cameras
like they came out of the portal
work. Sometimes someone can look like a shadow figure even if they aren't one, and these clips have once again encouraged people to question the real motive behind this performance. Strangely, after Travis Scott's performance that year, people noticed some changes in him. A short while later, he was photographed with some friends of his wearing a upside-down cross pendant, and this immediately struck people as being incredibly strange. This wasn't something that he had done before, and in the past, Travis had openly talked about his relationship with God. So why the upside-down cross now? Well, some people have claimed that it has to do with the record label or the group of friends that he was hanging out with. It's still a strange coincidence. There's also a shirt design that Travis Scott's company dropped just a short while ago. It says on the front, Utopia, the madness of it all, Saint Jack, the light of redemption, chaos.
With him on there's someone on the cross being quoted. There's a video, Mama Sita, Sita, Sita. It's him on the cross.
No future. And it appears to show a hound of hell and a man being crucified on the front, covered in symbols from Travis Scott's music and record label. On forums about this shirt, lots have called this design incredibly sacrilegious, but I'll leave that up to you to decide. There's also Travis Scott's strange friendship with artist and fashion designer Michelle Lamy, wife of Rick Owens.
Someone just said that too in the chat earlier. I forgot who. Let me scroll up real quick because someone literally just said her name earlier. Why is Travis Scott Medusa? Medusa said that. Why is he hanging out with Michelle Lemmy, a powerful industry witch? You had literally just pointed that out earlier. Crazy thing is, right, on this same album, there's a record called Yosemite. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but Yosemite means they are killers. And in that record, the hook goes, "Stop trying to be God. Stop trying to be God," as if he's having this duality battle within himself. Even throughout the video, there's a duality battle between God and the devil. Very crazy. Very crazy. It was one of my favorite songs by him, but looking back now, what that record actually mean, crazy.
Who herself has talked openly about how she has dark influences in her art. A lot of people have pointed out this photo that features Michelle and Travis and the eerie, almost disturbing feeling.
Witches were doing rituals backstage while Travis was on stage. That's what I'm saying. That's one of my favorite songs by him. Stop trying to be God. That song is so deep.
That it gives them as they gaze upon it. Now, there's a lot that we could get into here. Michelle has even talked about in interviews how she collects voodoo figures and appreciates this darkness. But do I think that this is truly some sort of an evil connection? Not really, no. What do I think about this whole thing, after all, actually?
So the lady Abramovich, I forgot the first part of her name. Something Abramovich, the one that hangs out with Jay-Z. Or used to hang out with Jay-Z, I should say. And did his video. Y'all know who I'm talking about. The lady Abramovich. That's who she reminds me of now. There's a couple of industry witches. What the fuck is her name now? Hold on. What the hell is her name? Marina Abramovic. That's what it is. Yeah, Marina Abramovic. That lady is another industry witch.
Do I believe that Travis Scott sacrificed all these people?
Thank you, Wade Jeffries. Justin Furlow, what's going on?
For some sort of nefarious satanic blood ritual? I don't necessarily believe so. And that's just my opinion. You are free to believe in whatever you'd like to. In my opinion, the real blood here is on the hands of those who planned this festival, who claimed they were going to be providing security to this festival, and the people who failed all of the individuals who attended that night. In fact, my own sister was there with her boyfriend at the time, and she was sending me photos and videos from in the crowd, so I have a personal connection to this whole thing. But I will say, even if I don't necessarily believe that Travis Scott sacrificed these souls to some sort of entity, why the symbolism? Why is there so much symbolism? And why does it all paint this broader picture of transformation, of souls being lifted, of using flame to destroy and create new concepts and ideas?
Of course he's there. Of course he's there.
And beings of all-seeing eyes and hell. There are so many different artists across the planet.
I have to say it one more time. Of course fucking Drake is there.
Who throw shows all the time. And yet, none of them have the decoding potential that this show had. Why is that? And why was there so much symbolism at a show that unfortunately ended up taking the lives of 10 people? I guess those are questions that I just don't have an answer to right now. But if you thought it all ends there, it doesn't. Remember at the beginning of this video when I discussed Travis trying to play a show at the Pyramids of Giza? Well, obviously, those pyramids are deeply connected to the occult as well. In the desolate sands of Egypt, the Pyramids of Giza rise like ancient sentinels, their weathered stones whispering tales of a forgotten era, constructed during the 4th dynasty of the Old
I knew it Conceptus on the back of our dollar bill with this fucking pyramid.
Kingdom. These monumental structures, according to historians, were built as eternal tombs for pharaohs Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure, with the Great Pyramid of Khufu standing as the tallest at 481 feet for over 3,800 years, comprising of over
Bro, now, here's the thing, right? Remember I said, on the back of the dollar, you see Annuit Conceptus? Annuit Conceptus translate to He, God, has approved our undertakings, or God has favored our undertaking.
3 million limestone blocks, their construction is a marvel, yet their precision fuels eerie speculations that challenge mainstream archaeology. One persistent theory suggests extraterrestrial intervention, claiming the ancient Egyptians lacked the technology to erect such colossal edifices, a notion popularized by shows like Ancient Aliens. Another chilling hypothesis posits hidden chambers within the pyramids, concealing advanced technology or ancient wisdom, a theory reignited by a recent 2025 radar study which claims that they've discovered vast underground structures beneath Khafre's pyramid. Some even whisper that the pyramids were crafted by a lost civilization, perhaps the fabled Atlantis, as suggested by 19th century pseudo-archaeologists like Ignatius Donnelly. These haunting narratives, though unsupported, weave a spectral tapestry around Giza, ensuring that its mysteries endure in the public's imagination. But to those in the occult tradition, the pyramids of Giza are not mere tombs, but sacred temples pulsating with esoteric significance. Manly P. Hall, a prominent 20th century mystic, described the Great Pyramid as a sermon in stone, a divine structure encoding the secrets of the universe and serving as a stage for ancient initiation rituals. In his view, the king's chamber was a crucible where initiates underwent a symbolic second death, emerging reborn with enlightened consciousness, a process tied to the pyramid's role as a microcosm and macrocosm. The pyramid's geometric form, with its 4 triangular faces converging to a point, is seen as a conduit for cosmic energies, symbolizing the soul's ascent from the material to the spiritual realm. This interpretation
in a sense, then, was he literally picking Egypt in the Temple of Giza? Was he picking this on purpose then? Because he knew this?
Resonates with occult schools like Rosicrucianism and Theosophy, which revere the pyramids as repositories of timeless wisdom. The precise alignment of the pyramids with cardinal points in celestial bodies, such as Vega 68,890 years ago, further fuels occult beliefs in their mystical purpose. To the initiated, to the occult practitioner, the pyramids stand as silent guardians of arcane knowledge, their enigmatic presence a chilling invitation to come visit them, to probe the unseen, to be initiated into a higher realm of consciousness. Some theorists assert that Freemasons are the modern custodians of the pyramid builders' knowledge.
That would make a lot of sense there. And I'm already getting Anunnaki vibes from this. I'm getting Anunnaki vibes in a sense when I saw the different murals and like the alien ship and whatnot, and then the faces in it. I'm getting Anunnaki vibes as in when they arrived here to create man, this is where they first started at, as far as creating man in the Nephilim's image. When we were pretty much made from the Nephilim rebellion, and pretty much we were made as the next set of human workers from the Anunnaki. I'm getting the sense of this is where they were, and that's why the Egyptian gods were actually so furious with Travis Scott, because the Anunnaki were more the creators of man. They were more on the side of God with things. They weren't necessarily on the side of Satan. They weren't on the side of Judas. So the Egyptian gods here were more on the Anunnaki side as far as on our side. They weren't necessarily, they were definitely against whatever. That's why the guy even said, like, no, you're going to piss off the gods if he performs here. Literally, you're going to piss off the Anunnaki gods, the creators, if he performs here. Marina Abramovic is a phlebotomist in real life. She stays around blood. I agree with that. You know what the thing is? Like I said, I got familiar with her when she was doing her ritual music around Jay-Z's video. I just want a Picasso. He was saying he just wanted to create art, but then you have the whole duality of life imitating art and things like that. Then why would you have a witch doing artistic performances inside of your video? You see what I'm saying?
Pointing to alleged Mason's marks, proprietary symbols found on Giza's stones, documented by 19th century Egyptology.
Look at the Freemason sign on top of the pyramid, bro. Look at the portal right there. Look at the it's definitely a direct, damn near depiction of what Travis Scott's stage would be. Yes, John Satasi. The stage looked like an upside down cross. That's what we were looking at earlier too. You guys missed a lot too. You and Wade. There's literally an upside down cross leading inside of the portal in his stage.
Just like William Flinders Petrie. These marks, possibly indicating artisans' identities, have sparked speculation of a direct link to Freemasonry.
I don't even want to know what that is, Medusa. Spirit cooking? Spirit cooking. Summoning spirits through the pot, through pretty much, I guess you would say different chemical concoctions, in a sense. Different spell concoctions.
Though mainstream scholars note that Freemasonry, as a formal institution, emerged in the 17th century, millennia after the pyramid's construction. Thomas Holland's 1885 book, Freemasonry from the Great Pyramid of Ancient Times, boldly claimed that Freemasons built the Great Pyramid, a notion dismissed by most due to historical discrepancies, but one that still fuels esoteric narratives. Obviously, the Eye of Providence.
Yeah, see, that's why I said I don't even know if I want to know what that is, cooking spirits.
A Masonic symbol of divine watchfulness, like the one depicted atop a pyramid on the US dollar bill, amplifies conspiracy theories about secret societies who control global affairs. So, as you can see, the Great Pyramids of Giza are highly regarded by occultists, occult practitioners, Masons, secret societies, and groups like this across the world. They're known as a highly important and highly powerful spiritual area where one can go to become initiated into, once again, a higher realm of consciousness or a higher state of being. So, after all we've gone over, isn't it a little strange to you that this is where Travis Scott wanted to emerge into his new era, into his utopia after dystopia? I don't know. People on Reddit, for example, for sure 100% believe that all of this was a conspiracy. People have claimed that this event had too many satanic symbols and could be linked to
MK Ultra. I was waiting for somebody to finally point that one out. The MK Ultra and the mind, the brainwave frequencies pretty much just fucking people up and making them zombies. I was waiting for someone to finally mention the MK Ultra part of all these concerts. MK Ultra, there was a heavy, and I mean heavy dose of MK Ultra in Michael Jackson shows. It was not the fact that people were just passing out like, oh my God, Michael. It wasn't that. It was people literally being hit with a heavy dose of MK Ultra mind control at Michael Jackson shows specifically. The Prince shows and all that. The bigger pop acts have MK Ultra. Beyonce. The MK Ultra is turned the fuck up in there at those concerts. It's like when women add period blood onto their crushes food. I don't like dibbling that kind of magic. I heard about that too. It's crazy. My sister was like, yo, be careful. She might put period blood in your spaghetti and you won't know. I was like, what? No, I had never heard of that. But lo and behold, that is a actual ritual that I didn't know about. That I did not know about.
MK Ultra. Others claim that Travis Scott's behavior during the show itself, such as when he was humming when he was watching people carried out, was bizarre, and that he was chanting like some sort of a ritual. Others claim that it seems very ritualistic and that this whole thing creeped them out. Others are even more bold, claiming all I could think was it looked like a sacrifice. And there were also other strange news stories that emerged in the wake of Astroworld, like how almost immediately the authorities here in Houston, Texas, claimed that somebody had been drugging people that evening by injecting them in the neck with some sort of drug or substance.
And when I was just talking about that earlier with the needles being poked around on people.
Just take a look.
I will tell you, one of the narratives was that some individual was injecting other people with drugs. We do have a report of a security officer, according to the medical staff, that was out and treated him last night, that he was reaching over to restrain or grab a citizen, and he felt a prick in his neck. When he was examined, he went unconscious. They administered Narcan. He was revived, and the medical staff did notice a prick that was similar to a prick that you would get if somebody's trying to inject. That is one part of it. The other thing that's very important, there were some individuals that were trampled, and we want to be respectful of that. But we just ask that y'all give us time to do a proper investigation. Kids and young individuals that was out there, if you've seen something, say something. This is now a criminal investigation that's going to involve our homicide division as well as narcotics, and we're going to get down to the bottom of it.
So that's incredibly bizarre, isn't it? Well, just a short while later, the same authorities had some sort of a chat, or maybe they were told something, and they came back at another press conference and said this.
In terms of the security guard that I discussed on Saturday, if you can remember, members of the medical team in the medical tent said that a male security guard had come in and said that somebody had pricked his neck, and we felt that it could have been something ingested. We did locate that security guard. His story is not consistent with that. He says he was struck in his head, he went unconscious, he woke up in the security tent. He says that no one injected drugs in him, so we want to clear that part up.
Wow, they literally changed it up. You see how he was stuttering even. They changed it up last minute.
At the end of the day, symbols have power. Symbols and sigils, they're all the same. Sometimes symbols are flashed on screen, embedded in buildings and in mass media, shown to you on a daily basis because they're meant to implant some sort of message, memory, or train of thought in your mind. There are symbols that we see every single day, some that are non-harmful and others that are incredibly nefarious.
I do see the clue in the chat, Medusa. I just didn't want to say anything out loud. I see why you said it would take Rumble for this one. Mainly because this is starting to sound very Pizzagate, Isaac Cappy-ish.
But those who believe in these practices, I'm not even necessarily saying that I believe in them, but those who do believe that these symbols have a spiritual power. Just look at people like Aleister Crowley and his followers. They all believed in the power of the symbol, of symbolism, of ritual. And it doesn't matter if I don't believe in something. If somebody out there does, then they might have done something to carry out their own will, their own goals, to achieve their supposed higher level of consciousness. Because, just to reiterate one more time, do I believe that this was a satanic human sacrifice? No, not really. But do all of these symbols definitely have occult meanings? And do these symbols, when analyzed together, tell a dark, disturbing story of some sort of sacrifice, a transmutation of energy, a harvesting of energy, used to transcend into a new physical, mental, and spiritual plane? Yes, they do. The story even ends way out in Egypt, where the person allegedly leading this ritual heads to the greatest place of spiritual transformation on Earth, the ancient, mysterious pyramids of Giza, to enter what he claims is utopia. So, even if this is all make-believe, even if I'm just a crazy conspiracy theorist ranting about this stuff on the internet, why include the symbolism? Why was it there? Was it just meant to be edgy? Was it something that people thought was cool? I am 100% all on board for people expressing themselves however they want to, creatively and artistically. But it is interesting. When you look at a band like Slayer or Rob Zombie, you can understand the pentagrams and the upside-down crosses. That's their thing. It's pretty much for shock value. None of them are hardcore Satanists that murder people, but it makes sense. But when it comes to Travis Scott, I don't really think that that's his image or the perception that he wants people to have of him as some sort of Masonic, mythological, ritualistic worshiper of ancient deities. So I'll leave you with that. If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to like the video, leave me a comment, subscribe to the channel, and come back.
Oh, so that's the thing, my boy. You know our boy here. We didn't watch one of the joints from. So this is the same channel that we got the video where he was going on the where he talked to the Satanist, the vampire. This is the same dude that talked to sat in the room with the vampire. He had the machine that was hearing the different spirits that was coming around, and he took that same machine and went out on the boardwalk. It's the same guy, same exact guy. Love my guy here, Conspiracy Files, yo. Love my guy here, yo. He always goes in. He always goes in. Like I said, only other person I would have expected to even remotely go in this deep was Truth Is. Like I said, I already had a feeling that there was something demonic going on with the whole Astro World thing, and I never really got into it. But I'm glad Conspiracy Files actually got the chance to break it down. I'm glad they actually got a chance to break it down there. He said all that to say he believes it was a sacrifice. Yeah, that's the thing. You can't necessarily say it was, because then you have to say the words allegedly. It was nothing alleged about this shit. It was absolutely nothing just alleged about this whole thing going on, right? So I don't even know if I want to get into Diddy after this. I mean, it falls along the same lines. If we're talking about Ursula Dantor that's on his back, if we're talking about the tattoo that's on his back with the deity that's there, and he's pretty much, at a point where he can't feed the deity anymore, because we know Ursula Dantor is like the boogeyman. Pretty much, if you can't feed her and give her what she wants, she comes for your children, right? She comes for your closest children. He can't feed that demon anymore back. On his back. He can't feed her right now. Ursula Dantor. We did the research on the voodoo on his back. The mural painting, pretty much, that he has to answer to, and the reason why he was even doing the sex occult magic. He mentioned the Thelema in this particular documentary as well, right? That's really what Diddy was even doing all the sex magic for, and the freak offs and things like that, was to practice the Thelema to feed Ursula Dantor. It's all connected. It's all connected, of course, but I was very enlightened by this particular documentary by Conspiracy Files. Mainly because, like I said, the whole theory with Travis Scott and his career just was never the same after this. And even he said he was a different person. So I wanted to see exactly what that even entailed, right? Pretty much what he was explaining was, and I wanted somebody to break this down for me. He was pretty much saying that Travis went through a transition. It wasn't just the sacrifices were part of his transition, but the sacrifices were let's just say the concert in itself was mainly to transition Travis. It wasn't to kill the people, in a sense, as much as they were the sacrifice part of it, right? It was mainly to transition Travis, to make him become more elevated and enlightened, and, as you say, for him to go through the next step in Freemasonry, right? So as you know already, there are 33 degrees in Freemasonry, right? Of course, Travis is nowhere near Master Mason level like a Jay-Z, who is 33rd degree right now. That's why he is godfather of the music right now and seems so untouchable. You look at all the Rock Nation cases right now, yet Jay-Z is walking around, help, niggas want to find me. Help, niggas want to find me. Doing niggas in Paris. Just parading around the stage like there's not like 3 or 4 lawsuits with mentioning Rock Nation, including your CEO that pretty much tried to do a guardianship of her own daughter, right? That's why I mentioned Marina Abramovic earlier with Jay-Z, because Jay-Z, as you guys remember, is also a follower of Aleister Crowley, because he sat there during an interview with the "Do Without Wilt" across his sweater. All these people are connected, pretty much. All these people are connected as far as that goes in the rituals that they do. Travis Scott was pretty much going through an enlightenment ritual to where he was being transitioned up to a higher level in the Freemasonry. That's why he had all the Freemason occult symbolism around him, because he was being elevated into a new level and degree. Of course, he can't say that publicly. None of them can. Hell, you saw Rick Ross cover. He had to take it down. The Freemasons said, no. You, what the fuck are you doing with the Knights of Templar outfit? The all white shit he had on with the red. He had the Knights of Templar uniform on, covering his mouth and what? Like, dog, come on. You doing too much. You being too loud. Okay, our thing is hiding in plain sight. This ain't hiding in plain sight, bro. You raising questions. Stop it. But someone like a Travis Scott is, practicing the hiding in plain sight very well, because even still, people don't necessarily know that it's a sacrifice ritual before it's actually even too late. And then, like I said, it's more so a transition ritual to elevate him. Yes, 20 likes, 25 watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you guys, like I said, would like to donate and hit the Cash App right there on the left-hand side of the screen, the Chill Murray one, I would greatly appreciate it right now. Before we go, like I said, I didn't think it was going to be this here as long. Before we go, we might as well look at what happened today. As I updated y'all before on what happened with Brendan Paul, he had a very short fucking testimony. Very short testimony. Pretty much he just said he smoked a whole bunch of weed. He only did weed. He didn't do coke, which I don't believe him. He did some Tusi. You were not carrying around all them dapper drugs, and did he not having you do something to test that you're not vets? That's one thing. Second thing is he said he bought $4,200 in weed a week. That's a lot of fucking weed. Number one. Second thing was he was confirmed to be the drug mule because he was the guy that was given salary money. I think he made up to $100,000 a year and pretty much was paid off to gather up the different drugs from different connects, from the 2C to the cocaine to the weed to the ecstasy, the MDMA. He was pretty much paid to collect all those drugs and bring it back to Diddy and put it in different pouches and whatnot, so that he always had access to it. Christina Corum, things like that. He always was going to have access to it through this drug mule. So like I said, the feds didn't need to have him up there maybe an hour, half hour. You know what I'm saying? Because they already pretty much had what the basis of what that kid Brendan Paul was doing. So they was like, all right, we're just going to ask you straight up. Was you bringing such and such? Was you bringing this? All right, how much did you pay for? Who was paying for it? Diddy was paying for it. Through what? Through the company money. That's all the fuck we need to hear from you, dog. That's all we need to hear from you. Literally. That he's buying up all these drugs with bad boy money and distributing them out to everyone. That's all we need to hear from you, Brendan. I don't give a fuck about nothing else. So, like I said, Brendan Paul's testimony was very short, and I think it was one of the key things that actually buried Diddy, but there's a few different reasons why Diddy is buried, and we're going to watch the video now because there's word going around that his charges got dropped, or certain charges got dropped, certain the fat charges, like the aid to sex trafficking and whatnot. What was the other one they said dropped? I can't necessarily remember that, but that was one of the main ones, the aid to sex trafficking. I think it was a domestic one that was in there. I can't remember. Kidnapping, that's what it was. They said that kidnapping was dropped also. But yeah, all that was fake news. All that was pretty much fake news. So let's look and see what Law and Crime got for us right now, though.
What a day. From the government gutting a portion of their case against Diddy to both sides battling it out over the law before closing arguments, we're going to break down everything that happened in day 30 of the Sean Combs criminal trial right now. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. On the eve of closing arguments in the Sean Diddy Combs federal sex crimes trial, we had another interesting day, day 30, a day that started out with rumors and reporting that charges were dropped against Diddy. That is not accurate. That's not quite what happened. There's also this talk about a constitutional challenge. Both sides, the judge working out the final jury instructions for the jury. This is important. This is the law. This is the rules that will govern the jury's deliberations. Very important in a complicated case.
And I knew that too, right? I meant to pause it earlier, but I knew that too, right? When I heard about the charges being dropped and when I'm like, yo, this is and I apologize, y'all. I meant to delete that too. This is exactly why I don't jump the gun and listen to a Tisa Tells. Tisa Tells, shout out to you. God bless to you. Just that it's a little bit hard to gravitate towards what you say when there's more fabrication than actuality going on in the situation that you're talking about. So it's like you put out a video saying that Diddy's charges got dropped, right? But not really, not the chunky ones got dropped, right? So you were saying the Fed still were charging him with something, just not necessarily the kidnapping and whatnot, right? So it's like it's crazy how even the little things like that will still stick out with this particular case. So even moving forward, I think the juries have that to think about now, right? People are trying to fabricate it and say his charges got dropped. Little things like that, I think, is going to even sway the jury back towards the Fed side, because it's like, yo, he tried to do as much as he could to try to stay innocent, even during this whole thing, and try to kiss ass with the judge, saying doing a great job and whatnot. But still, you giving head nods to the jurors and shit like that, right? It's crazy. Like I said, it's crazy that they even try to even bring up the fake news. And like I said, shout out to Tisa Tells, but I can't do the gossip tabloid fake news like that. And that's the main reason why. Like I said, I apologize. I should have took that down, because even she jumped the gun as far as saying that certain charges were actually dropped, and that just wasn't the case. That just wasn't the case at all.
Racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, transportation to engage in prostitution. A lot of elements, a lot of factors, a lot of requirements to find Combs guilty of each charge. It's quite complex. It's a battle between both sides, what the language is going to be and what the language is that the jury will hear. And I think the jury will actually probably have to take some time during deliberations to even figure out what these jury instructions mean before they even start deciding the case. And again, we anticipate closings tomorrow, probably going to extend into Friday too. In fact, we learned a little bit more about that today too. Prosecutor Maureen Comey even said that the jury may end up not even starting their deliberations till next week, till Monday. But let's talk about what happened today. And for that, let me bring in law and crimes reporter Elizabeth Milner, who has been in that courtroom all day. For everybody who knows, we're recording this right now at like almost 8 o'clock at night. You have been in the courtroom all day. It's been a very, very tiring day, Elizabeth, but great to see you. I have to ask you about the beginning of the day. When we woke up, we found out the government filed this letter regarding jury instructions. And remember, to prove racketeering conspiracy, the government needs to prove at least 2 underlying predicate crimes, essentially. There's arson, there's forced labor, there's kidnapping, there's bribery, there's witness tampering, all to support this idea of there was a criminal enterprise and that Combs and others engaged in a pattern. The charge related to attempted kidnapping under both California and New York law, attempted arson under California law, and aiding and abetting sex trafficking. The government is no longer planning to proceed on these theories of liability, so instructions are no longer necessary. So people might be thinking, oh my gosh, they dropped those underlying crimes, right? Problem is, if you go to the indictment, the latest indictment, for kidnapping and arson, it specifically lays out multiple theories under state law. So there's the actual crimes themselves. It's kidnapping and arson, but there's also conspiracy to commit arson, kidnapping. There's aiding and abetting kidnapping and arson. There's attempted kidnapping and arson. So my initial thought is maybe they're not getting rid of arson and kidnapping as a whole.
No. What they did was something very smart. If people aren't, the feds are playing chess with Diddy. They always have been. They have been playing chess from the beginning with him. So even how, like I said before, how they mapped out what they were actually going to do, right? We're going to paint a certain picture of Diddy, and then we're going to pretty much close out this whole play, right? So the play, Act 1, if you think about it, was what? Cassie. Yeah, Tisa Tells, I'm not going to say lies, but she just jumps the gun a little bit too much. She just jumps the gun way too much. Too much Jet Magazine tabloid type shit. I can't do it. I can't do it sometimes. It bothers me sometimes. But they were playing chess with him from the beginning, right? From Cassie, right? Act 1 was pretty much Cassie. To where you're painting a certain picture of how this individual actually is. That's one thing, right? But then you also uncover the layers of the domestic violence, the control, the abuse, the arson that was committed, right, against Kid Cudi. Then you start to think about the other things. So the freak offs is just the lower part of this bar, right? They're the lowest part of this bar. Then you have, like I said, from the sex trafficking and the freak off tapes, then you have multiple women, right? But on top of the multiple women, you have the staff also saying, yo, we were in fear of this guy. You know what I'm saying? We couldn't work under certain conditions. They also showed the tyranny of Diddy, right? That was enough. That was Act 2 pretty much, was when Mia came up there and the tyranny was showed as far as he would, have people working for, I think the longest she worked was for, I forgot what it was. I think it was like 48 hours or something, or 72 hours or some shit like that, to where she just couldn't go to sleep whatsoever, and she couldn't go home and see her family, and Diddy just had her working. I think it was longer than that. I think it was like 4 days or some shit like that, from what I remember. But yeah, then like I said, showing the tyranny of Diddy and the angry side of him, the overworking, the overwhelming person that he was in general to deal with. Then of course you have your Act 3, which is if you give it an example of things like Jonathan Perez, right? Pretty much put the nail in the coffin in this nigga, whether he know it or not, because he was able to implement the TriStar thing was a throw off, right, with Lou Taylor and whatnot. Nigga, Lou Taylor is your manager and fucking accountant. So even if you trying to say, oh, the payments came from TriStar, nigga, now you done threw TriStar in with your bullshit, pretty much, because you still were using what, Diddy? You still were using the company money to fund the freak-offs. That's the part that they wanted to nail you on. That's part of the racketeering in the RICO, because your dumbass was paying for the freak-offs and every other one of these dildos and baby oil and Astroglide and pumps and heels and lingerie and flights out the country and flights in around the country and whatnot. Now you going to your properties and whatnot. You just flying these bitches around, paying them tens and thousands of dollars for salary out of the bad boy money. Dog, that RICO has long been since caught on you.
But only those specific theories, meaning we're arguing Combs engaged in conspiracy to commit arson, but not attempted arson. And remember, this all relates to the testimony of Kid Cudi, Capricorn Clark, Cassie Ventura. That's what we talk about with kidnapping and arson. So,
no, I always thought about too. You said that for B. We saw matching shirts. Now I wonder if Meek had matching boxers with this nigga.
Elizabeth, did you hear anything today in court?
Pause. I don't really wonder that.
Provide any kind of clarity on whether arson or kidnapping are still part of this case?
Yeah, I was expecting to hear just something along the lines of that. And, with the government and the defense going just so fast in their arguments, I was really thinking, oh my God, did I miss them talking about this? But I don't think they even really touched upon this issue when court began finally at 3:45 today, because initially it was going to start at 12, then it was going to start at 2, then it was going to start at 3. Then the defense needed a little more time to read some things through. So then it started at 3:45. And so just as far as, because a lot of people have been like, oh my God, charges are dropped. Oh my God, this case is over. The government, it wasn't any of that. Because to your point, Jesse, the government said in their letter it was only applying to attempted kidnapping under California and New York law, attempted arson under California law, and aiding and abetting sex trafficking. But as far as just a big moment, as far as them going into maybe more layman's terms on just what this all meant, they didn't go into that, and it was kind of disappointing. I was hoping they would kind of speak more about that, but really they were just going over these proposed instructions one by one, page by page by page.
By the way, I got to say this. As you know, we are always writing a lot of sidebars here. We're researching, we're doing breaking news, and I am constantly on the run. And look, I get hungry. I'm human. Flavors they have: iced coffee, Kid Cudi's car, talking about stress, not the nutrition. So, okay, look, we'll find out tomorrow. I still think arson, kidnapping are a big part of this case. They spend so much time talking about the firebombing of Kid Cudi's car, talking about whether Capricorn Clark was kidnapped in different instances, whether or not Cassie was kidnapped in the 2016 video. So I'm sure it's still part of it, but we'll see. Okay, there was a big delay in court. You talked about it. Did I hear this right? It had something to do about, what, a constitutional challenge? I mean, something was going on with the attorneys and the judge. Did you find any clarity about that?
Well, when we first got into court today around 3 o'clock, because initially we were all sat down and ready to go at 2 o'clock. Then we heard from the marshals and the bailiffs that, this is getting pushed now to 3. But initially what we did learn is that, the parties have agreed to the verdict form. But then the defense asked for just a little more time. Now, initially they wanted 30 minutes. And again, this being around 3 o'clock. So initially we thought, okay, they're going to start at 3:30. Then the defendant, that of course being Sean Combs, wanted just a little bit more time to.
I can't believe I heard them words time just now. Huh? You wanted more time. You ain't give Cassie friend no time for your hunger over the balcony. You ain't give nobody no time when you was chasing niggas down in your skirt towel. The elevators and what, they ain't changed nobody. Why we changing for you? Nigga, we waited till 3 o'clock in the afternoon for these changes. Your shit was supposed to be done by like 10 o'clock this morning. We gave you the benefit of the doubt. You took everybody's entire afternoon. Literally. With that one, brother. I guess you didn't know.
Review these documents, so they pushed it to 3:45. But as far as just what the defense wanted in terms of what document they wanted to read to just get more clarity, because as more documents are coming in, as more objections are coming in, as we're getting towards the end of the trial, the defense just wanted to take an extra look and an extra careful look at the latest charging document. And so they took that time to do it. Then we came back at 3:45, and then we really started kind of getting into those jury instructions.
Yeah, it took them a while.
Really,
it took them a while to get into things.
Let's get into it. So the first one that there seemed to be a lot of debate about, not surprising, one of the most complicated charges of this case, racketeering conspiracy. There are a number of different parts to this. What did they say? Did they come to a decision about what is conspiracy? What is a criminal agreement? What is a criminal enterprise? Some of the big highlights that you saw between the prosecution and the defense, and do we have any kind of answers as to what the jury is going to be instructed regarding the top charge in this case, the charge that carries up to life in prison?
Yeah, and it seems like because it comes with such a hefty penalty of the possibility of life in prison, right, Jesse, that they took so much time really just going through all the thorough details.
It's a classic out show, Legends of the Hidden Temple. That was my shit on Nickelodeon.
Especially as it pertains to count 1, that being racketeering conspiracy, aka RICO. So right off the bat, they get to page 13, and the government had an objection, because when I say page by page by page, they really took it page 1. Does anyone have objections to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So by the time they got to page 13, the government objected kind of to the end of the page when it came to the conspiracy instruction, because the government wanted a note about co-conspirators and how they might not have known, but they can still be a part of the conspiracy. Whereas the defense said in an argument that some of the co-conspirators, like Christina Quorum, like KK, didn't know what was going on. So the defense objected to that because they said that's not necessary. They say that the law requires a co-conspirator join the agreement. Shapiro, again, Alexandra Shapiro, making these arguments on behalf of the defense here. But she had said that the issue was the knowledge of the alleged conspiracy. So what ended up happening is the judge overruled the government's objection, and he said that further clarification can be addressed in closing arguments. So then the defense had an objection to that same page, but then a different line where the line was in reference to actions speak louder than words. And the defense says it makes it seem like circumstantial evidence is more important than direct evidence. And so the judge says that he will change the sentence in context of conspiracy actions may speak louder than words. So again, this is all about the language here, where they're just adding little things here and there where it doesn't seem either prejudicial to the defendant, or that way they can make it very simple for the jury to really kind of understand this. So even in terms of just adding that little word like may is going to be added to those jury instructions. But another thing that they were really...
I agree with you there, Medusa. It's going to be carnage on celebrity side, but I think that's another reason why they are choosing to be a little bit more patient and keep him detained, because they know how much of a dangerous threat he actually is. I think that's the part that, that it goes without saying. They know how dangerous he could be outside of the jail, potentially, allegedly. It's like, let's try to keep him in and see what actually happens here.
specifically kind of talking about was the fourth element of RICO, because the government is saying that, you know, it's more accurate to talk about the agreement of affairs. And their proposal was that the elements reflect the defendant knowingly agreed with co-conspirators, knowingly and unknowingly. And the defense was like, well, that actually goes to the fourth element. And then the judge ended up overruling the government's objection because it says it kind of conflates with the first and fourth element of RICO. Truly, it was a lot of legalese that they were kind of spelling out there. And so even in terms of just, again, it seemed like most of their arguments, especially in the first part of court today, was really just about RICO and the co-conspirators. So the defense had an objection to a line that said that the person must be common to the group as a whole. And they were saying the government is conflating things, that the purpose has to be a common purpose. There's a lot of case law about the common purpose. Again, the defense making this argument. The judge said that the proposed language might confuse the jury and that common purpose could be a number of different things. And so Alexandra Shapiro asked if this could be added. The purpose must be a common purpose and can't merely represent one individual's own self-interest. So they were just talking about adding, if not shared, as the group as a whole. And then the government's like, okay, well, I don't think this is an instruction that should be receiving. They don't agree with the case necessarily cited. The judge agreed that he wasn't going to add the language, so he ended up overruling the defense's objection. And so it seemed like for the most part, Jesse, that really it was kind of like, what did the co-conspirators know? What did the defendant know in terms of just, were they committing these, you know, alleged criminal acts knowingly or unknowingly, those types of things? Because they even talked about just the core group overall and how the government was saying the core included this chief of staff, the security. And then they kind of pointed to things like D-Rock as the security. And again, so really just kind of focusing on that core group of people and whether or not they're all co-conspirators and things of that.
You know whether or not.
Look, the prosecution.
No. Call a spade a spade. Call a fucking spade a spade. D-Rock, KK, Paul, not Brendan Paul, but Paul have specifically been getting named throughout this whole fucking thing. Don't say, you know, may or may not. They are co-fucking conspirators that the feds are going to say.
Broad as possible, right? Because that's the way that they can actually convict them. The defense wants it as specific as possible so that the prosecution can't meet the burden here. They can't meet the elements. And it's important when you talk about what's the common purpose here. Was it just to serve and benefit Diddy, or was there a different common purpose? Was it a larger common purpose? So the criminal agreement, the criminal enterprise, the common purpose, that's all one part of racketeering. Then I mentioned you have these underlying predicate crimes. I understand today that was a big point of discussion too, right? What about forced labor? Maybe not arson, kidnapping.
I don't think she's getting a pass, but I know for a fact she's being a co-conspirator. If you're talking about getting a pass as far as not testifying, she doesn't need to. If anything, she would have testified on behalf of Diddy's side or her own. But she doesn't need to testify. They're not calling her up. Like I said, I believe it's because they're going to charge her with co-conspiracy. They're not necessarily going to worry about anything else. Just you know what I'm saying? Just go get her too. Just go get her too. She's part of the enterprise. She's part of the enterprise. She's definitely not getting a pass. They're definitely going to come get her just in a different way without her having to testify or anything.
But forced labor, maybe bribery or tampering with a witness. Any highlights from what we should be thinking about in terms of the underlying predicate crimes?
Perfect example, right? Scooby-Doo's on trial. You think Shaggy's going to say something? See what I'm saying? They don't need to put Shaggy on the trial.
Prosecution has to prove as part of RICO conspiracy?
Yeah, they definitely spend a lot of time mainly talking about obstruction too. So for example, on page 29 of these proposed jury instructions, the government said that they're not required to prove that there was an ongoing federal case or investigation. Then they asked that that language be included in the jury instructions. And at first I was kind of a little confused about this argument. I was like, okay, what does this have to do with what? Because, you know, when we're inside that courtroom, we're not seeing these pages on the exhibit screens and nothing like that. We're really just taking their word as in terms of just listening to their argument. So I kind of got where they were going with this because the government was saying that they're not required to prove that the conspirator knew that there was an investigation.
Bullshit. Like Freebie just said, okay, KK. Okay, KK. Pretty much, right? Because, yeah, even though, you didn't know what was going on, you still are a co-conspirator because you still were the okayer of all this shit. You still were the okay. A lot of this shit still had to go through you, even when he wasn't around. A lot of this shit went through you.
Then the defense kind of chimes in and they say that the defendant still has to know or still has to have something in mind. And then I kind of thought about it in just terms of the testimony. And I think it's kind of related a little bit to Mia, because remember when Mia was on the witness stand, she said after Cassie's lawsuit came out that shortly afterwards, D-Rock had messaged her. And so I think they were kind of trying to say that maybe the defense was kind of trying to say that Diddy didn't know that there was a federal investigation going on at this time. And so this whole allegation of obstruction in terms of reaching out to Mia, maybe possibly getting, her, word of approval to go and talk about, whether or not that Cassie and Sean Combs had this toxic relationship or not, or even just the allegations that Mia had while she was on the witness stand talking about how she thought that there was kind of this insinuation that, money would be given to her if she were to, make a statement in favor of Sean Combs. And so that's when it really clicked to me. But then the government is like, okay, I think the nexus is about communicating with the federal officer. And so the judge says that he'll consider copying the language from the obstruction part into this particular part of the jury instruction. Then when we kind of talk about forced labor, when they were talking about forced labor, the government objected to some lines just including that labor services include sexual services. And they kind of say it's supported by the R. Kelly decision. So the government says that they will argue that sexual labor falls under the statute. And they said that we need to make it clear to the jury that this is a different kind of labor and it falls within labor and services, where the defense says clearly sex trafficking can fall under forced labor. And they kind of pointed to their motion for acquittal argument that they had made just yesterday. And so the judge ended up overruling the government's objection because he said that the concern is that the jury may be confused that sexual services automatically count as laboring services. And so the government will have a chance to kind of argue about this during their summations, aka their closing arguments. And so there was kind of, just again, the legalese as far as the defense objecting to lines about difficult and compulsory. And they say it goes to mirror what the government argues, that the term labor is sufficient. You don't need to include specially. Again, they're really just kind of making sure that every single word is accurate and perfect for the jury to really kind of understand and really kind of digest it as they're getting all these really kind of like legal jargon, legal words in terms of the instructions that they're going to be eventually given before they are able to deliberate.
Yeah, and the forced labor, the sexual acts as part of forced labor is interesting when you think about Mia, right? Because Mia says that she was sexually assaulted as an assistant. So then you move on to sex trafficking. Sex trafficking by force, fraud, coercion. There are 2 counts, minimum 15 years in prison. That's the way that it was argued by the prosecution. And you have one for Cassie Ventura Fine, one for Jane. It was interesting because I was reading the filings last night going.
I don't think they ran out of tapes. I don't think they ran out of tapes yet. I doubt it was like 4 or 5 of them. I'm pretty sure it's like 400 or 500. They got to go through a good amount of them shits
into this, and the prosecution made a number of interesting choices or recommendations for language. In terms of they basically wanted instructions that prior consensual sexual activity is not determinative of whether a victim was sex trafficked. Even if a victim receives compensation, this can still be sex trafficking. A completed commercial sex act is not required. My understanding is these kinds of things came up today, debated by both the prosecution and the defense. And wasn't there something about that the way the prosecution has pled this case, that is what triggered the 15-year minimum that could be on the table for Sean Combs if he's convicted. What was the back and forth regarding sex trafficking and the language that the jury will hear on that?
Well, there was a lot of back and forth with the sex trafficking. Maybe not as much as the RICO, but definitely still there were moments, especially the defense, getting kind of animated while they were making their arguments. And by they, I mean Alexandra Shapiro. But as far as counts 2 and 4 goes, and that again pertaining to sex trafficking involving alleged victim 1, Cassie Ventura, and alleged victim 2, that being Jane. And so the government really was talking at first when it comes to this charge just about how physical restraint is not required. And it kind of falls under the same, I guess, guise as forced labor. And so the judge ended up agreeing about this because I think a lot of people in there.
I mean, they won their injury. They kind of won there because they had the video yesterday saying that how the jury just looks tired and overwhelmed. Like they're tired of seeing the sex tapes and the free calls.
minds when they think of sex trafficking, they may think of like physical restraint or that they were being held against their will, locked up in a basement or a warehouse, that type of thing. And so I think what the government is saying is that there needs to be an instruction that doesn't, or an instruction that includes that physical restraint is not a requirement to prove sex trafficking. Then the defense is saying that they were really kind of upset, I think, about the whole commercial sex acts kind of language that was used, because the defense argued that each of the 4 indictments, so that's the first indictment and the 3 superseding indictments that followed, according to the defense, they say that the victims engaged in commercial sex acts. And I mean, that was something that was laid out in the indictments. And so the defense argued that the government claimed, and there are multiple enterprise letters, that there were multiple dates and places of commercial sex acts, whereas the government says they aren't bound to their enterprise letter. And they argued that not every commercial sex act was completed, but some were. And they wanted that particular language to be added because they kind of point to the escorts being told to leave, something that Jane had testified to. There were also, they brought up the 2016 Intercontinental Hotel incident where Cassie, is seen on that surveillance video. According to her testimony, she was leaving a freak off. And so they kind of count that as this is not a completed sex act. And so the court said that they asked the court to give this instruction, whereas the defense kind of thought it was a little prejudicial. They say that the attempt is already captured here, and they say that the government shouldn't be allowed to argue it's not a harboring offense. The defense says, I'm concerned if the language is included that the victims engaged in sex trafficking if sex didn't occur. And so she's getting a little, she being Alexandra Shapiro was getting kind of animated here, because she was saying that it's not fair that she thought initially the judge was saying that they made a late objection and that they got this objection in a little too late. And then Alexandra Shapiro was like, this isn't fair, we're making a late objection. The judge says, I didn't say it was a late objection. And then he ended up saying that he'll end up considering the issue. So the government said in their argument that they don't plan on making a lengthy harboring claim. So it seems like it's something that's definitely going to be talked about during closing arguments. And then as far as just the whole kind of exchange as far as initial consent and whether or not just because an alleged victim initially consented to doing the hotel nights or the freak-offs, that it doesn't mean that sex trafficking didn't occur. And so the government thought that this kind of language would be a little confusing to the jury. The defense says that there should be language about the defendant and his knowledge, because the victims initially, initially the defense says that, these alleged victims, they initially agreed to be doing these hotel nights and these freak-offs. And so in terms of just Sean Combs' state of mind, he didn't know, especially towards the end, that this might have been non-consensual or that the victims didn't want to participate because of that initial consent. So a lot of the sex trafficking, kind of the same with the RICO, where it's just like about language, but I think it goes a little bit deeper, especially because of that gray area that these women were Sean Combs' former girlfriends. And so I think from the defense's point of view, they were really trying to argue just as to Sean Combs' state of mind, what he knew, what he didn't know. And they were they were pretty much arguing that Sean Combs, because the alleged victims had consented at the beginning, doesn't mean that he was in the know that even towards the end of
That's going to be a t-shirt for you, B. That's going to be a t-shirt. He needs more baby oil. I need more baby oil. That's going to be a t-shirt.
Their respective relationships, that they no longer wanted to participate in these hotel nights / offs.
And then we go to counts 3 and 5. Transportation to engage in prostitution, which I have said before, feels like the most straightforward path for conviction of Sean Combs. You talk about the hotel records, the transport record, the travel records, the payments, the text messages, the voice notes from Sean Combs, that he played allegedly an integral part in transporting these individuals and these alleged victims for the purposes of sex work. Forget force, fraud, and coercion. That's not a part of it. It feels like a straightforward case. So I imagine when
it's not just, well, see, that's the thing, right? And that's why I said I feel like they might let him go on these sex trafficking things because of the other stuff that they could get him for later on, which now I could be wrong. This could come down to a verdict of guilty, mainly because of the RICO charges that are just so evident right there with him, like I said, using the company money to pay for all this shit. And the racketeering part of it is him paying for it. The Halloween costumes, yes. I could definitely see people dressing up as bottles of baby oil or Astroglide.
Came to the language there, the defense would try to put in anything that was beneficial to them, right? What was the back and forth regarding the language of transportation to engage in prostitution, which, by the way, nobody sneezes at that charge. It's a prostitution charge, but it carries up to 10 years in prison. So what was the back and forth on the language there?
Well, Jesse, the argument didn't last as long as maybe the other arguments go in terms of RICO and sex trafficking. And even Alexandra Shapiro said, okay, once we get to the Mann Act charges, we'll go a little bit faster here, because by this time it's close to 7 p.m. They even turned the air off in the courthouse, so it was getting a little toasty in there. But once we finally got to counts 3 and 5, then we kind of were really getting to the beginning of the end of these arguments. But initially, the government had the first objection where they said the whole would engage in prostitution. They wanted that specific language to be changed to an act of prostitution, because they say they didn't want to imply that the person who was transported, and in some instances across state lines, was a sex worker. And so I think that they were trying to say that these were acts of prostitution, not that these escorts or entertainers were actual prostitutes, that they were just doing acts of prostitution. Again, because when they testified, that being Daniel Phillip and Sheree Hayes, something that the defense pointed out is that both of these men said that they weren't prostitutes. They say that what they were doing was paying or being paid for time and experience. They weren't being paid or didn't think that they were being paid for prostitution. And so the judge ended up kind of siding with the government here. And so that specific language will be changed to acts of prostitution.
Yeah.
And so then the defense had some kind of issues a little bit with other lines that were included in this particular charge, but it seems like that was the biggest thing from both sides to really kind of hammer out here.
That's a problem for the defense, because that was one of their arguments. They even made it yesterday during their Rule 29 motion. Hey, these people weren't, prostitutes. He was paying them for their time and experience. Well, now it doesn't matter. If he transported them, and in the end, right, there was a commercial sex act, there was an act of prostitution, that's a big win for the prosecution right there. Real quick, before we just wrap things up on some of these finer points, would you say generally your view was the language is more beneficial to the prosecution at the end of the day than it was for the defense?
Well, I mean, that's a really good question. I feel like it could go either way, because I'm just always thinking of it in layman's terms. These are lawyers, and very well-experienced lawyers at that, where they may say, okay, this language is very clear-cut. A jury will understand that. And jurors are very smart. That I will say that for sure. But in terms of just how this will all be read after hours and hours of closing arguments, I'm kind of wondering, okay, will this all click with the jury that this means this and this means that? But we'll have to wait and see what their reaction is once they ultimately sit down, get those closing arguments.
Well, those closing arguments are coming this week. That's what I said. I'm just going to skip tomorrow and just go to Friday, because I believe we're going to get our verdict Friday. I believe we are finally going to get, because the closing arguments coming. They could come tomorrow. I think we're going to have our Diddy is either Diddy is guilty or not guilty by Friday. I don't think this is going to lead into next weekend. I think the jurors ready to say, hey, fuck this. Fuck him. He did it. Diddy did it. I'm pretty sure the jurors are ready to say, you know what, Your Honor, we want to go home. Diddy did it. Just get this shit over with. Just get this shit over with. Like I said, they were overwhelmed already with seeing so many different sex tapes. They're beginning to be burnt out. So it's like, at this point, we can't say this nigga's not guilty. I don't think they're going to say this nigga's not guilty. I could definitely see more of a world where they're saying he is at this point. New Eyes, what's going on? New Eyes, you going to have to catch the replay. I'm not even going to lie to you. You might have to catch the replay at this one. We getting towards the end of things. But yeah, this is Friday. We will definitely be back. Friday, we would definitely be back on this. He told you in the song he was not guilty. Not guilty. Come on. Yeah, I don't know. Not this one. Definitely guilty on this one. I don't know how to Diddy, but nobody. Why would I Diddy bop? Yo, it's this definitely this one's clear cut to me though. Like I said, I didn't think it was gonna be this. I didn't think it was gonna go this hard with it, but the feds cooked. Like I said, from beginning to end, with painting the picture of Diddy. They cooked from beginning to end on this one. You cannot front on that. And like I said, we'll see as late as Friday, I think. I don't even think this is going to make it to Friday, but we'll see as late as Friday as far as what the verdict is going to be. Take this money. Ain't no way you could take this from me. Well, you took a lot of things from other people. We'll just say it like that. And it was more than just money, you know. You took a lot. You took dignity from people. What Ray J say? Asses are being taken. People are being raped and asses are being taken. Ray J is a fucking fool, yo. Asses are being taken. That is a classic. Do I still got that? Do I still got that classic Ray J? Asses are being taken. Cause that shit is funny, bruh. Where is that one at? Give me 1 second. Where is that at? I just want to see if I still have that real quick. Yeah, I don't necessarily know which one it is now. I don't know which one it is now. Here it is. I had to find it. Hold on.
Somebody for
I had to find it.
Taking somebody's ass. There's a lot of people out here taking from people. Not only like people are getting robbed of not only their money and their spirituality. They're getting robbed of their womanhood and manhood. Asses are being taken in ways that nobody can explain. Do you chuckle? Do you laugh? Do you help? Do you criticize? Because I see a lot of jokes out there right now talking about baby oil. Everybody got a joke about having baby oil and lube. Is that okay? Do you forgive?
Oh, that is still classic. Asses are being taken. That is still classic from Ray J, yo. In ways that nobody can explain. Oh, man. All right. All right, guys. Like I said, I will be back Friday. As we announced earlier, besides us doing the verdict, if nothing else crazy happens, we're going to do we're going to do a spin the wheel on the top 3 chatters. So like as you guys that are in the chat right now, as you see the purple, the 1s, the 2s, and the 3s, the mods do not count. Of course, the mods do not count. So there will be a special not contest, but pretty much there will be a spin the wheel of the top 3 chatters, and it will be after an hour, of course. So after we go over the verdict and things like that, after about an hour or so, we're going to do the top 3 chatters. They're going to be able to pick the topics for the rest of the pod. We're going to do it like that. Do you chuckle? Do you laugh? I laughed even harder when he asked that. But yeah, we gonna get on out of here. We gonna get on out of here. So, as always, this was pretty damn fun. As always, this was pretty damn fun. And very enlightening documentary. Shout out to Conspiracy Files. Shout out to everybody that was up in here. Shout out to everybody that was up in here. Fury B, the homie, Angie Pangie, Medusa, New Eyes. I'm so sorry. New Eyes, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that you catching the end of it. I'm so sorry. I always feel guilty when you guys come in at this time. I almost feel like I need to keep going more. But like I said, we didn't really have much more. I do apologize. Cherie Purnell, West, y'all. Yes, y'all. Always representing. Who else was up in here? I know I saw somebody else up in here. Stella Blue. Thank you for coming through. John Asatasi, Wade Jeffries, Justin Furlow, Chum Calm Down, my brother, Chum Calm Down. We definitely got a link again. Juju. I know Baby Juju popped up in here too, not just Juju Gali. I know Baby Juju popped up in here as well. Allison Clanton. Black Lion. Thank you all for stopping through. Here tonight. I think I got everybody from what I'm seeing. Wait, did it change from Angie Pangie to Angelique Tejada? I just saw Tejada. Okay, I guess it was Angie Pangie. Okay. It's just Angie Pangie. My eyes are playing tricks on me. Yes, definitely see y'all Friday. I know I said John Asatasi. But yeah. And we're gonna end this off as we started it off.
Really do.
A bullshit?